Recording in progress.
I'll wait for Asia. Welcome everyone to your Vinyasa class on this pretty relaxing Saturday. Today we are going to work with our innocence, with our non-dual awareness, through merging the dualities within our bodies and within our minds. So before we get started, just want to check in with everyone in terms of any injuries that I need to be aware of. I think we're all good. Welcome people at home as well. Thank you for joining into the class. As I always say, showing up is half the work, it's half the practice. In terms of non-dual awareness and being in your innocence, please take a moment to close down the eyes and breathing deep into the body, creating space and allowing to drop off your shoulders anything that happened before coming into this space. Anything that doesn't serve you right here, right now, in this beautiful now moment. This sharing, this co-creation of a beautiful practice. And allow to flow in everything that does serve you. Just by noticing, just by observing, and letting path that comes through, allowing yourself to stay in your innocence self. So the action of observing encourages the stopping of making sense. Take a deep breath in. On the exhale, blink the eyes open. And we're going to come to standing. And we're first going to do a little prana awakening, comes from Chinese medicine, from Yin Yoga. So we're going to tap on our tummies with our hands to awaken internal organs. I forgot the meridians. Going to our left side, tapping our obliques and our side body into our armpit, over our shoulders, over the inside of our arms, which is the heart and lung meridian. Tapping the hand over, tapping the top of the arm, the large and small intestines, up into the neck, and switching to the other side of the body. Again, over the lung and heart meridians, over the inside of the arm, all the way to the fingertips. Flipping the hand over the large and small intestine meridians, all the way up into the neck. And from here we're going to take our fingers, starting in the middle of the forehead, tapping down over the midline, over the nose, over the lips and the chin, down over the throat, and back up this second line over our eyebrows, over our eyes, our cheekbones and cheeks, in the midsection of our jaw, the sides of our throat. And then back to the top on the third line, which is our temples, which is the side of our head, near the ears, down the jawbone and jaw muscle, the side of the neck. And then making a fist and with your knuckles, we're starting in the middle of our head, going over the midline of our head, all the way to the back, down the neck. And going back to the second line of the head, starting in that corner there, I don't know what it's called, all the way down the back as well, and the third line over the head. I think this is also the urinary tract meridian, yeah. And then from here, bring our hands to our back, tapping away our kidney meridian, lower back, slowly coming over the hips, the bottom, leaning forward and keeping the hips, coming down the back of our legs and the outside of our legs. All the way down to the feet, the tops of the feet, waking up. Most meridians end in the feet, coming up on the inside of the legs, which is the spleen meridian. And something more. Coming back to the tongue. Liver. And I think one round would be enough, time-wise. So from here, we're just going to take a deep breath in, bring our hands up. And on the exhale, just bending at the knee, slowly coming back down to the ground, sitting in Sukhasana. And we're going to do 3 rounds of breath of fire. Each round is going to be 15 breaths, which you will count yourself. And on the last breath, you take a deep inhale, lion's breath out, and apply the Mahabandha, so the Mula Bandha, Dhyana Bandha, Jalandhara Bandha. So take a deep inhale, completely out, and a half inhale to start your breath of fire. Deep inhale, lion's breath out, and apply your locks. Keeping the locks as long as it's comfortable without straining. And when you feel you need to breathe in, you maintain control and breathing through the nose. Come back to seated and just take 2 normal breaths before you get into your next round. For the next round again, deep inhale, completely exhale, half an inhale to start. Inhale at the end, lion's breath out. Applying your locks, Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, drawing in the belly to the spine and up into the heart, Jalandhara Bandha. Maintaining these locks as long as it's comfortable, and then breathing in again with control, coming back to seating, taking a couple of normal breaths, feeling the energy awaken through the body, surging through the nadis. When you feel ready for your last round, taking a deep breath in, out completely, and half in for breath of fire. And the last, a deep inhale, lion's breath out, exhaling all the air, Bahir Kumbhaka, and applying your Mahabandha, Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Jalandhara Bandha. As long as it feels comfortable, without straining, just going over the edge of discomfort perhaps. And when you feel ready, taking a controlled inhale and a few normal breaths. From here we're going to cross over the shins, coming into Vajrasana, sitting on the knees, with the toes pointing back on our heels. Bringing our hands up, we're going to do a dynamic posture, Shashankasana, which is the pose of the moon, bringing our awareness into our back, and thus our subconscious. while also honoring our shadow. Taking a breath in, maintaining this straight line with the arms in the spine, bringing the arms and the third eye to the ground simultaneously. On the exhale, inhale here, exhale, inhale coming back up. 4 more times. Exhale, inhale, exhale, coming down simultaneously, hinging from the hips. Exhale, inhale, coming back up. Maintaining that straight line. Exhale, inhale, exhale, coming back down, straight line. Simultaneous touching the floor with the hand and the third eye. And the next inhale, coming back up. For our last one. Inhale, exhale, coming back down simultaneously, touching the ground with the third eye in the hands. Taking a breath here. And from here we're going to come up into Chakrasana. So first coming into tabletop. Hands under shoulders, hips over the knees. Inhale, coming into cow stretch. Exhale from the tailbone, first moving into cow or cat stretch. And just on your own pace, synchronizing your movement. Maybe bringing some non-linear, intuitive movement. Non-linear practice is what calls in more of that non-dual awareness as it merges your duality, coming into innocence. Maybe circling the spine around and you're synchronizing the breath with it. Maybe drawing some circles with the hips. I have to drop half of my flow due to time. And from here we're going to come back to neutral tabletop Padmanasana. Coming into Dandayama Padmanasana, which is balancing table. So on an inhale, bringing your right hand in front of you and your left leg, left heel to the back of the room. Exhale, elbow to knee, rounding the spine. Inhale, stretching out. Exhale, rounding the spine, elbow to knee. Inhale, pointing the heel to the back of the room, fingers to the front. Exhale, rounding the spine. Inhale, coming back to stretch, and exhale to neutral tabletop, going to the other side. Left hand forward, right heel backwards on inhale. Exhale, rounding the spine, touching elbow to knee. Inhale, coming back into the stretch. Exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, pointing the heel and fingers out. And exhale, elbow to knee. And inhale, I think I have 4 now. Coming back to neutral tabletop. We're going back to the other side, doing a similar thing, just swinging the hands out. So inhale, pointing the fingers and the heel. Exhale, swinging the leg and the arm horizontal to the side. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, swinging out to the side. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, swinging out to the side. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, neutral tabletop. To the other side, left hand forward, right heel backward. And on the exhale, swinging out to the side. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, swinging out to the side. Inhale, back to center. And exhale, swinging out to the side. Inhale, back to center. And exhale, neutral tabletop. Coming into Balasana, so sitting your hips to your heels, putting your knees wide as you need to. Just coming into a child's pose with the third eye to the ground. Taking a few nice inhales and exhales. Just feeling that heat, that energy, with these gentle dynamic movements. When you feel ready, take an inhale, lengthen the spine, and crawl your hands to the left side of the mat. Maybe the right hand sits on top of the left hand, interlocking the fingers from the back. feeling a side stretch, opening the ribs. If you want to deepen this stretch, you can crawl your hands further forward and outward. Really breathe into those ribs. Opening up the lungs, opening all the nadis for more flow of prana. And then next exhale, coming back to center. Taking an inhale to lengthen again. Exhale, crawling your hands to the right side of the mat. Just like little spiders. Leading your left hand maybe on top of your right hand, interlocking the fingers. Crawling forward and more to the side if you want to open up more into the ribs. Breathing into that side body. Exhale, coming back to center. And due to time constrictions, I'm going to do one more pose, which is the dynamic pose of threading the needle. So coming back up to tabletop, we're going to do Urdhva Mukha Pasasasana Vinyasa. That's how it's called. So bringing our right hand to the sky, twisting from the core. Exhale, threading the arm underneath the left arm with the right shoulder and cheek to the floor. Inhale, coming back up. And exhale, threading the needle. Inhale, coming back up, pointing towards the sky. And exhale, threading the needle. Staying here for 3 breaths. You might want to extend your left arm out. Wherever you feel a stretch, try to make some micro movements and breathe into that space. See how you intuitively open up more into the body. Bringing that left hand back for support. Inhale, right hand to the sky. Exhale, neutral tabletop. Going on to the left side. Inhale, left hand to the sky, twisting from the core. Exhale, threading the needle onto the right arm, left cheek to the ground. Inhale, back up, pointing the fingers to the sky, following with your gaze. Exhale, threading the needle, left shoulder to the floor. Inhale, bringing the hand up again, left hand to the sky. Exhale, threading the needle, staying here for 3 breaths, extending the right arm. Finding where you can open the body, where does your body want some space. Breathe into that area, bringing that innocence, that intuitive knowing. Bring your right hand back for support. Inhale, left hand to the sky. Exhale, neutral tabletop. And from here, we're going to sit back into Balasana again. Sorry, I have way more in there. From here, I'm going to give the mat to Asia. Thank you, everyone.
Ask you guys to remain in Balasana just for a little bit. Thank you, Kevo. While we're here, I just want to revisit that intention of transformation. And in order to allow for transformation to occur, we need to let go of any bias, emotion, idiosyncrasy that no longer serves our higher good. The famous mystic Rumi says, be like a tree and let go of your dead leaves. So here I invite you to let go of any emotion, thought, or memory that no longer serves you. And when you're ready, come up to tabletop. Let's have our knees hip width apart and gently recline back into our Virasana. This pose might be a little bit uncomfortable for some, so you might want to use a block or a bolster. to support, just to bring your hips up a little bit. And here, to begin my sequence, I would like to chant 3 Oms with you all by bringing our hands into Prana Mudra, which activates dormant energy in our subtle body. So your pinky and your ring finger, and you put your thumb over them. Those at home, and just rest them on your knees. Close down your eyes. I like to chant Om, but not in unison today, but with your own breath. And here, enjoy the vibrations within and also the external communal vibrations out in the space. We'll have a round of just natural breath. And from there on, we'll move into our arms. Just an inhale in, and an exhale. Prepare for Om on the exhale. So inhale, and join. Going to a yoga class, and a teacher once saying that our hips are our emotional junk drawer. Just release any negative emotion or anything that does not serve you right here in the mat, on the mat today. On the next inhale, slightly make your way back up. Release our feet, come into Dandasana. Might want to shake it out just a little bit. Sit nice and tall. Extend your spine through your crown chakra. Ready, we'll bring our right leg over onto a 45-degree angle, folding in our left sole to touch that thigh there, coming into our Janu Sirsasana. Extend for our spine, nice and lengthen. And on the next inhale, our forehead to our knee, if that's available to us. Next inhale, come back up. Neutral spine, we'll go again. See if we could deepen that stretch. Inhale, come back up. Go one more time. Straddle, so release the left leg. once again we have our straight spine, activating our Uddiyana Bandha and our Mula Bandha, so our navel to our spine. And on the inhale, forward fold, hinging at your hips. You might want to stand on your forearms. If you have a block, you could rest on your block. Inhale, come back up to neutral. And here we'll bring our right leg in, back to our Jamsadasana. Pivot towards our left leg slightly. Inhale, bring our arms up, and exhale, fold over. And inhale, come back up. Time for good measure. Inhale, come up. And now exhale. Fold over. Inhale, let's come back up. From here, I'd like you to come up to standing, meet me at the top of the mat. We'll do a few rounds of Surya Namaskar just to warm up before I hand over to Callum. Here we stand in our mountain pose, in our Tadasana. Really kind of activate and be strong in your stance. So soles of the feet firmly planted into your mat. Activating our Mula Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha, navel to our spine, our palms facing forward, nice and strong. And on the inhale, hands come up to an upward salute. On the exhale, forward fold through heart center, down to Uttanasana. Inhale, come up to our halfway fold, straight spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, step or hop back to our high lunge. Exhale, drop your knees, chin and chest. Slide over and come into your baby cobra or upward dog. This is uncomfortable, you can remain in your baby cobra. Curl your toes in, pike your hips up, and for our first down dog. You can pedal your feet out. Once again, bring your belly to the spine. Also engage your Hasta Bandha, so the insides of your knuckle coming in contact with the mat and energetically lifting your palms up. When you're ready, step or hop the front of your mat between the hands into our Uttanasana. On an inhale, come up to halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to upward salute. Hands come down to heart center. Do this once again, but we'll do Sun Salute C, just with a few additions. So let's get started. Hands into mountain, facing the front of the room. On the inhale, upward salute. Exhale, forward fold through heart center. Here, come up to our halfway lift. Exhale, hands frame the feet. Right foot comes back into our lunge. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, back down. The front foot meets the back in our high plank. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, right foot comes between the hands. Into our low lunge once again. Exhale, hands down to the mat. The back foot meets the front. Into our Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, upward salute. And hands to heart center. Do this one more time on our left. When you're ready, hands by our side. Inhale, upward salute. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, right foot comes back, arms up. Exhale, hands come down, framing that foot. Front foot meets the back in high plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, baby cobra or up dog. Inhale, pike the hips. Upward dog. Belly to navel. Exhale, left foot comes forward. Into our round lunge. Hands to the sky. Exhale, hands back down to the mat. The back foot meets the front. In our Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, hands to upward salute. And down to heart center. This is where I hand over to Callum. Is he online?
Yeah.
Hey, can everyone see me and hear me?
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so just standing in Tadasana, and just taking a few moments to ground yourself, breathing in and breathing out. We're going to start to get a bit more fiery. So starting to use our Pada Bandha, pressing down into the big toe mound of the right leg, starting to become light on our left foot. We're just going to float the left foot up to our chest, pose. Now bringing the hands to our hips, and let's start to hinge forwards at the hips, kicking the left foot back, coming into a warrior three. So really pressing the left foot back, kicking the back wall, elongating out through the spine. Slight bend into the right leg. Option to open out your wings, perhaps taking the hands forward, reaching to the front of the room. Breathing in and breathing out, slowly bending into the right leg, pressing the left foot back down, tucking the toes, coming up, breathing into a crescent lunge. And breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Next inhale, let's reach the right arm open and make a twisted open up to our right side. The chest, taking the gaze back to our right hand. So next inhale, reaching the right hand forward, turning out the back left leg to come into warrior two. So I'm turning the 45-degree angle, opening up the arms to the left side, breathing down and opening out my chest and my hips, heel to heel. Next inhale, flipping the right arm of the hand and reaching the arm up and back. Left hand to either your thigh or your calf. Trying to open up the chest. Your next inhale, coming back to warrior two. Bring the right palm of the hand either to your thigh, side of your right foot and lifting the left arm all the way up to the sky, or perhaps over the top of the head. Out. The next inhale, straightening the right leg. And let's start to walk the left leg just a few centimeters to shift our weight forward into our right leg. We're going to replace the right hand directly out in front of our right leg, our right foot, bending into the right foot. Let's start to tip the weight forwards, lifting up into Ardha Chandrasana, half moon, pressing down into the right hand, left hand on the hip, opening the chest out to the left. Lifting the left arm up to the sky, opening up the chest, flexing through the left foot, pressing back, elongating out through the spine. And when you're ready, taking the left hand down, just coming into a standing split. So moving our hips forwards, folding up the head. Moving out the counter direction of dropping the head and lifting the left foot up into the sky. Taking a few deep breaths. And bending into the right knee. Moving the left leg down, coming into fold. Hanging out here for a second. Might want to wriggle your hips from side to side. Shaking the head, yes and no. And when you're ready, breathing into a halfway lift. Exhale, folding forwards. Inhale, sweeping the arms all the way up to the sky. Exhale, bringing the hands through center, coming to Tadasana. On your next inhale, we'll take the other side, so planting down into the left foot. Breathing in, lifting up the right knee, flexing the foot, bringing it into the chest. Taking the hands to the hips. Exhale, start to kick the right foot back, folding forwards, creating a nice flat back. Gazing slightly forward in front of your mat. Drishti lifting up and beyond your mat. 2 points of direction, lifting out through the crown of the head and lifting, pushing back through the heel of the right foot. Inhale and exhale, bending into the left leg, stepping the right foot back. Bringing in, lifting up to a crescent lunge. Reaching down, eyeing the sky. Inhale and exhale, opening out to a twisted crescent. Everything back to the left. Fingertips. Inhaling, reaching the left hand to replace the right, opening out the right hand, coming into Warrior Two. Left leg forward, bending into the knee, opening out to the right side. Externally rotating the shoulders, opening up the chest. Inhale, flipping the palm, reaching up and back, going into exalted warrior. And inhale, coming back up to warrior two. Either placing the left elbow on the inside of the thigh or reaching all the way down on the inside of the leg. Breathing in, reaching the right arm up to the sky, opening up the chest. Or perhaps reaching the right fingertips overhead, reaching beyond your mat. Laser beams shooting out of the right. And lifting yourself back up, straightening the left leg. Let's just walk in the right leg just a couple of inches. Reaching the left hand slightly forward in front of the left foot. Lifting the weight forwards, perhaps having the right hand on the hip. Coming into Ardha Chandrasana. And perhaps opening up the right hand to the sky, thinking about opening the right side. Really flexing the toes back. When you're ready, bringing the right hand down, squaring the hip forwards, dropping the head, lifting the right leg up into a standing splits. When you're ready, bending into the left leg, bending into the right, folding forwards. Bringing into a half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Breathing in, reaching the arms high into the sky. Exhale, Samasthiti. More poses to get us to the ground. So breathing in and breathing out into Utkatasana. So sending the hips back, tailbone slightly tucked, knees over your ankles, reaching the arms forwards. Put the hands to prayer. We're going to come into Parivrtta Utkatasana. So breathing in, lifting the chest up. Think about turning the left elbow, placing it onto the outer right thigh. Thinking about pressing in through the hands and the prayer. You open up the spine, rolling the right shoulder back, opening the chest. And exhale, folding forwards. And on your next inhale, we'll come straight up back into the Utkatasana. So bending into legs, sitting the butt back, lifting the hands up. And bringing the hands to prayer. Taking the twist to the other side, so lifting up Uddiyana Bandha. Allow the space for your belly. Rolling shoulders back. And exhale, forward fold. Walk the feet hip width apart and have the feet either facing forwards or slightly turned out, depending on the flexibility of your hip. Let's dip our butt all the way down into the Navasana. Hands into prayer, tucking them slightly under the knees, thinking about broadening the chest, pressing the elbows into the legs to open up. Taking a few breaths. When you're ready, bring the hands behind our bodies, sitting onto our sit bones. Last two poses, let's come up into Navasana. So lifting up the kneecaps, we can start with our hands placed behind ourselves. We can either reach underneath our kneecaps and hold here. Perhaps reaching forwards. Perhaps even extending the legs, drawing in the belly. And on your next exhale, we're going to come into Ardha Navasana, so low boat pose. So breathing in and exhaling, rolling down to a low boat. Holding here for a couple of breaths. And exhale, rolling down the spine, folding down. And I will give this over to Natalie.
Thank you, Callum. Okay. So now that we're on the floor, we're going to make our way back up into a seat. So you can cross your ankles, get a little bit of momentum, roll back, and then come forward over your legs, palms in front of you, and come into a tabletop position. So we're going to do Mandukasana, so frog pose. So hip opener, also we'll be engaging our core here, so lifting our navel up into the spine. So with our shoulders over our wrists, we're going to start to take our knees out to the side. If you have sore knees, you might like to open the blanket over your mat. And then just little bit by little bit, taking these a little bit further apart. And when you feel the stretch, just stop there. And again, keeping your core engaged here, so lifting up that your belly button to the spine. If you want a little bit more intensity, turn your feet out so the inner blades of your foot are on the floor, and start to move your feet out to the side of the room as well. So sliding your knees out. You might like to come down to your forearms. Again, your shoulders are over your elbows. And just long, deep Ujjayi breaths here. So inhaling your belly to spine, keeping it there, but exhaling, let your knees drop open a little further. You might like to explore relaxing the muscles around your groin. Just going a little bit deeper into the stretch. If you want a little bit of movement, really gently, you could move forward, shifting your hips forward. Whereas again, when you feel a stretch, just stop there and feel your hips opening. And you might like to shift your hips back, again, very gently. When you feel a stretch, just stop there and breathe into the posture. And to come out of the pose, come back up to your palms. And you can push into your knees, pull your feet in towards you, or just go into child's pose for a couple of breaths. Inhaling and lengthening, and exhaling, bring your third eye to the ground.
inhale, we'll come up to a seated position. We'll start in Dandasana, staff pose. And as we explored earlier on in the flow, we're going to do a seated wide-legged forward fold, so Bhavishta Konasana. So from staff pose, keeping the integrity in your spine, straight back, we're going to open our legs to the side until it feels comfortable. And if you have tight hamstrings, it might be a posterior tilt of the pelvis. So you can have your hands behind you here and lift up through the spine that way. And you don't want to compromise the length of your spine, so keeping your back straight. If you can, start to pull forward, hands out in front of you, but keeping that straight back. And keeping your feet active as well, so toes going up to the ceiling and your knees. You might like to try bending up your knees and grabbing the blades of your feet or your toes, keeping it straight back. So it doesn't matter if your knees are bent as long as you've got a straight back. And you can play around there with stretching out your feet to the walls, feeling the stretch on your thigh muscles and calf muscles. And a few long deep breaths here, so every inhale you're lengthening, and every exhale you might like to pull and go a little bit deeper. Just one more breath, inhale, and exhale. And inhale, release your feet, come up to the Dandasana pose. And we'll go into a little back bend, so Ushtrasana, camel pose. So ankles together again, go over palms in front of you, and we'll come up on our knees, and we'll tuck in our toes for this one. And first we'll put our hands on our hips, and we'll just engage the core and push your hips towards the front wall. And we're just going to go up and back a couple of times with every breath. So not doing a back bend yet, just keeping the length in our spine. So inhale, and then exhale, start to lean back. And then when you reach the edge, engaging your core, come back up. And inhale, and exhale, go again. And now we'll do the back bend. So when we get to the end, you can grab your ankles. So inhale. And exhale, start to go back. When you reach the end, grab your ankles or your heels and start to go into a bit of a back bend. So pushing your hips toward the front wall. Shoulder blades are sliding together and your back. So you're creating a little cushion there if you want to start to drop your head back to the back wall. So keeping your shoulder blades together. A couple of deep breaths here. Inhaling, lengthening, and exhaling, pushing your hips towards the front wall. And support your lower back with your hands towards the lower part of your spine and start to lift yourself out. And you can sit back on our feet. Okay, we'll go into a inversion, so upward extended feet pose. So make our way to our backs. So legs outstretched in front of you. For this variation, we'll lift our arms up straight and then back behind us with our palms to the ceiling. If you did want more support for this, you can have your arms by your side and push your palms into the floor. But if you'd like to try this with your arms above your head, and then engaging your core, we're going to lift our feet, both legs at the same time, so keeping active, pushing through your heels. Inhale and then exhale, lifting your legs up to the ceiling, pushing your heels up to the roof. A couple of deep breaths here. And on an exhale, we're going to lower our legs down to the floor so they're an inch away from the floor, and then back up again. So inhale, and exhale down to the floor, just above the floor, hold, and then back up to the ceiling. And we'll just do that one more time. So inhale and exhale your legs down towards the floor and then back up to the ceiling. And from here we're going to go back into plow pose. So engage your core muscles, keep your arms where they are if you'd like, just to try the variation. And roll your legs over behind you. Your feet may touch the floor. If they don't, it's okay. They can hang in the air to keep your feet active and your arms outstretched. If you prefer, you can have your arms by your side for stability. If your feet reach the floor, you can grab your toes with your hands and get a deeper stretch down the back of your legs. And keep breathing. If your breath starts to become shallow, you can come out of the posture. And exhale, start to roll down your spine, vertebra by vertebra, keeping your core engaged, arms legs come down to the floor. And you might like to bend up your knees, squeeze your knees towards your chest, whether they're together or whether they're apart. And a couple of breaths here. And now we're going to do a little twist. So Supta Matsyendrasana variation. So from here, lift up and plant your feet into the floor with your feet about the width of your mat, so nice and wide. And then flop your knees over to the left. Then you might like to lift up your left foot and place it on top of your right knee to really feel the extra stretch. Your hip flexors, and you can extend your arms out, maybe look over your right shoulder. We'll take a couple of breaths now. And inhaling your knees back up to center, and then to the other side, so letting your knees drop over to the right. And you might like to lift up your right foot and place it on top of your left knee, and look over your left shoulder. To center, and we're going to make our way into Shavasana. You can do any last little movements that you might like to, otherwise just stretch out your legs, put your arms lay down beside you. You can close down your eyes if you haven't already. So our Asana yoga practice today has shifted and shaken energy, so our prana. We've redirected energy flowing through our body, and we've flushed out any stagnant energy. So with every lengthening and folding, stretching, twisting, we've created space within our body for new energy and calm the fluctuations of our mind. We have today gone through a mind and body transformation. Now letting go of your Ujjayi breath, Shavasana is now our opportunity for our body to cool down, to let new energy sink and settle within the body. So release any tension and return your breath back to your natural breath. So what if you could practice quietening your thoughts with being present and bringing guidance from non-dual awareness. Our dual reality in itself is an expression, and it's beautiful. In our dual reality, we feel one emotion or another. Our bodies move in one direction or another. There are labels, judgments, and expectations. With this reality comes times of love and happiness, also sadness, anxiousness, and frustration. We don't want to remove ourselves from these experiences, but rather pierce these moments with non-dual awareness, aiming to provide clarity and liberation from the need to react to the world. This awareness allows for transformation of consciousness and opens up space for enlightenment. And our mat is just another place to ponder and practice this. Start moving your hands, your fingers, and your toes. As you feel ready, you can roll over to one side. And push yourself up to seated position in Sukhasana. And just to finish the class, would someone like to lead us in 3 Oms? Anyone feel like they would like to do that? Ruben, please.
Just like sympathetic, but to close down the eyes. And we're going to one big clearing breath in. The lion's breath out. And breathing in for all.
That's music. A round of applause. Any feedback? How did you go? Hip? That's a big expressive album. Yeah. I went well. I chose to do the uncommon today. I have the list in front of me and write it all down. First reason was because I wanted to really get the Sanskrit names in of things I wanted to do.
I was impressed by your Sanskrit names, well done.
Yeah, and there were a couple of things I actually really wanted to do, and I filled up too much in the beginning because I came halfway through the list, and I think this whole flowed probably half an hour. But the uncommon thing for me was having a list, writing it all down, and following it. And I tested it this morning, but way too quick. I could do this in 8 minutes, but it was all too quick, obviously. I wish I actually skipped the standard things in the beginning and went to the other things at the end. But other than that, it went very well in terms of like guiding. And yeah, I think I embody the movements quite well. So yeah, on that part I'm happy. Just preparation. Yeah, I don't know. I think it just works better for me to know the main things I have to do and go with that instead But this is just another thing I just need to
It's-
sort of get my grip on.
It's a good exercise anyway, what
Yeah.
you're doing there, and yeah, you might, and ideally, yeah, you find that you don't need a list, and
Yeah.
you can just maybe have your list to practice, and then be able to do it without a list. That's ideal, but
Yeah, so the main
until
thing
you
is-
need a list, that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, that's and you know, there's nothing wrong with having your notes. I mean, I know we've kind of made those comments before. It's good to get rid of the notes, but at the same time, nothing wrong to have the notes.
Mhm.
It can help, and you know, sometimes even when you start teaching, you can still
Yeah.
do that. Some teachers still do that. I mean, I guess you know, with all these things, with all our practice, is you know, we don't want to have too many crutches that we have to rely upon.
Yeah.
I've got my list. How am I going to cover? So you know, good to be able to be flexible.
Yeah.
It's kind of like doing the headstand. You guys did headstands yesterday, I believe. And I don't know how Amy taught you, but you know, we did it yesterday in our Friday class, and I said, right, we do it without the wall first. And everyone was like, what? Because then the wall becomes your crutch as well. And then you can go back to the wall and practice with the wall, because it's good to have that, but then also you've got to have time to get away from the wall,
Mm.
because otherwise, yeah, you just always rely on the wall and then you don't go beyond it.
Yeah. The other reason why I did that is because I just wanted to bring in a bit more of the research I've done on a couple of these things in terms of what they do for the benefits of meridians and chakras and stuff like that. And I just realized now I didn't even bring all that in very well. With the Shashankasana was the main thing I actually wanted to do.
What's that?
That's the moon pose or rabbit pose or hare pose, whatever they call it. But it's like, it's basically a prayer kind of thing.
To your shadows, is that right?
Yeah, because if you do
Shadows
like
of
this,
the
you
back.
strengthen the back and the pelvic floor muscles and you regulate the adrenal glands. And I forgot to say about the Ujjayi breath, but I think most people automatically do that here now, I hope. Which brings the awareness to the back as well, and that's the subconscious in your shadow. And because it's moon pose, I thought moon pose, shadow, darkness, emotions, it's all part of the duality. That was my main thing. I want to work around that, but yeah. It's good. I like making that because it teaches me.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
You did the moon pose though.
Yeah.
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 So that's good. Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
No, I think you're exactly right. While you're particularly now, while you're practicing teaching, is you want to make notes.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to.
Yeah.
Eventually, we can transcend having the notes with us, but to make the notes, like you said, that's the way you're going to learn.
Yeah.
Okay, what pose am I going to bring in? Research the pose. What are the benefits? What are the crafts?
Yeah, exactly.
Make all those notes, and then yeah, I mean, then maybe it's like writing a piece that then you can maybe summarize. You do notes with the notes as well, potentially. You know? Something a bit more summarized once you've got the main points or the point form.
That was wonderful, thank you. I also feel that because we only have like 15 minutes or even sometimes 13 minutes just to really express ourselves, it's difficult to bring everything in those 15 minutes. But when you extend that to your own class and then it's 1 hour, then you can bring the shadows and the moon and everything throughout your flow, because potentially would have a basic intention that it's around that transformation. So you can bring those aspects in different poses. But because of the constraint in the time that we only have this much to do, of course, I could feel your frustration. So that's maybe something that...
During my flow.
Come again?
during my flow, you felt my frustration.
Yeah, because you mentioned like 3 times that due to time constraints, you had to shorten it down, and then I could feel your frustration. So maybe it's just moving and letting go of all that idea that you had at the beginning, and just accepting and having that compassion in your heart. Well, I can only do so much in 13 minutes, but in the understanding that all that knowledge and all that love that you had to give, there will be a time to give that as well. So just shifting and saying, okay, this is what came out of me at this particular moment, and then that's fine.
Yeah, it's cool that you say that you felt my frustration, because during the flow, probably at the moment where you felt it, I was thinking, I wish I just had the entire flow to myself. And then the next thought was, that'll come, Kevin.
It's so interesting that you notice that part of your sequence, because I'm sitting here thinking there was a moment when I felt this really beautiful, gentle energy coming from you, and I thought it was so nice that somebody who oozes masculinity still has this ability just to tap into that gentle, softer part where I felt really just like safe and held.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, but it's one of those things to feel all the spectrum, all the emotions in the spectrum in one flow in 15 minutes is quite remarkable.
Which brings back that whole duality thing and transformation again, because being able to notice that in myself and yet do the opposite for the class, I guess that's also the merging of the duality.
Yeah.
It's
good.
And like as well, it would be when you were talking about the shadows, like and loving our shadows, like it would be interesting to know how you do that personally, like through the poses. Because not many people use exercise to move through their shadows. Like for example, judgment is one of my like big shadows. So the whole class, I was like, oh my god, you're doing so well. Like encouraging myself, because normally I'm like constantly judging each thing. And I felt like my energy was able to shift. So that's how I'm working on judgment in yoga, but it would be interesting to know how you work on your shadow with the person.
You want to know that now?
Yeah.
I think about it.
Yeah.
It comes really intuitive, but I see my shadows just as another part of me to cooperate with, because they show. And I actually do the same in poses. I can do better than this, and I can go further than this, etc., etc. But I've started quite a while ago. I started to just create that awareness around that and reduce the interval from actually following my own judgment to becoming aware that I'm judging myself. Reducing that interval and becoming aware before I actually follow the judgment, and then I inject that judgment basically with self-love. And then it becomes constructive criticism for myself. So I grow out of it. And it's just, because your shadow is your partner as well. Your judgments are your partner as well, because your judgment help you move through life safely and stuff.
Yeah,
it's
interesting. It's such
but that, like how that question actually, I've never actually considered that question, so that's something I gotta sit on.
Yeah, because it's like injecting self-love, like that feels really nice. Like, but how do you, like how does that actually occur? Like,
that's all feeling mechanics now. How does unconditional love occur?
I don't know if I'm there yet.
It's through the breath. Keep connecting to the breath.
Like present. It all happens through presence. But it's like, it's what I'm looking into.
And through the heart, direct into your heart, would you say?
I mean that's.
Oh well, that's why actually. Totally. That actually, because one of the main things I was bringing in here was shoulder opening, which I wasn't doing, but a lot of heart and lung opening, bringing in hard
to
with the awareness on the
yeah,
back.
shadow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would have been cool.
So, because there was puppy dog as well, and there was Slim.
His frustration, Sam.
What was that, Renata?
She said into his frustration, like, oh, that would have been nice.
If only he had more time, eh?
No, but yeah, it's interesting to like, yeah, deepen into the exact like crux of the sequence. Like if that was your intention
Yeah.
coming into it, then that would have been prioritized more. That would be sat with that intention of like the shadows at the back, and then the self-love is felt through the heart at the front, and then to guide us into like strengthening the back, but like loving through the front. Yeah. Like,
Yeah. It's there.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah.
But thanks for that question, actually. It's,
Good, that's good, guys. Well witnessed, well thought out.
Yeah.
Aisha, how did you go?
Still very nervous up the front. It's not my element.
Well, can I say I was very impressed with you, proud
Mm.
to be up there. I know you've been struggling with getting up here on the mat.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone has, just
Yeah.
some do, but I know you have particularly, and I thought you did well.
Thank you.
yeah.
Could I add to that, Mickey? Second that. Aisha, never doubt yourself on the mat.
Thanks, Mel. It's not intrinsic for me to be up the front.
I would suggest that maybe this is something that I did, and I found that not just for me, but for all of us, and especially today, if you watch the recordings from the first couple of classes and you compare a little bit yourself with what you've done today, you've seen such a growth into, sorry, there's a motorcycle. Such a growth, and you're keeping that enormous piece that your voice has, and it's transformative, but with such a confidence. Thank you for that. You're amazing.
Thanks, Renata.
Yeah, good advice, Renata. I do recommend you all do that from time to time. Just check yourselves out and just see your own progress. I think it's really useful.
When you were up there, I haven't seen you for like 3 weeks, and I was like, I can't believe how much you've improved in 3 weeks. It's just incredible, and it's probably the time now where, because you can actually do it really well, it's just you backing yourself, because we all know you can do it.
Any other thoughts?
I just wanted to say good job to everyone on the Sanskrit as well.
Yeah.
Nice pronunciation. Really good.
Tony, are you there? Be nice to get your feedback too if you are.
I feel like your words were really good at the beginning around like we were letting go. Yeah, and that was really helpful because we could like I could be specific with what I was letting go of. Yeah, so that was good. And I mean the whole transformation, because we just start, but that was great, like the intention of transformation.
That was just kind of elaborating on Kevin's, but what transformation actually meant for me.
For you, yeah, this was good. Yeah.
Well done.
Very well done.
Tony saying no out.
You need all?
Inside. Okay. Yeah, there's. Caleb, how did you go? Mr. Lionsworth. How are you feeling, by the way? Are you feeling better?
Yeah, I feel fine.
Good.
Yeah, I'm all good. How I went, yeah, I mean, it was difficult doing it over a screen and not like fully seeing everyone, but yeah, I think it went all right. Usually I like to flow things faster. I mean, if we had like another round, I probably would have given less info to just flow through it, but felt like I needed to for this, for the first round of it. Yeah, I think I went all right. I'm trying to think. Not sure. I don't know. I felt pretty confident in what I was saying. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I think it was a good flow. I really enjoyed the flow. It was nicely weaved together. And, you know, you took us through quite slowly, but that was good to, you know, to explore the postures and to give us, you know, all the cues that you did. So that was really, I thought that was good. And like you said, if you had a bit more time, maybe you could have sped it up a bit as an extra addition. But look, as it was within the time.
Yeah, it's always that thing of like I personally love to just move through poses, but obviously when you have new people or you're teaching specific things for the first time, you kind of need to break it all down. Thanks. Got a delivery. Yeah, so, but yeah, I think it was necessary to break everything down for this.
I thought it was amazing, the slowness in terms of the rest of the flow, because it was quite like, because it was the only standing, real like full-on standing part of the flow, and it was quite challenging, but the slowness of it fit within the rest of the flow, actually, what everyone else was doing. And I really liked that part where, how you got us into Warrior 2 actually, which was a quite uncommon way to get there. But I haven't seen it much ever actually. Yeah, I really liked that part and the whole thing you did. Yeah.
When you say there's gonna be fire, my first thought is but I felt like you took me to the edge where I was like, okay, this is tough, but I didn't feel like it was too much either. And that's the challenge as a teacher, isn't it? Helping people find their boundaries, but not go too far.
Nice, cool, thanks. I did have some more more hectic poses, but I thought I'd leave them out today, also because of timing as well. So, yeah.
No worries. You know, a couple of the poses you did, I was thinking maybe as part of our lecture this afternoon, I might just come back to some of them, just to workshop some of the details of a couple of them.
Yeah.
That's just something I was thinking. Yeah. But
Cool.
well done. Good on you for, it's always a bit harder doing it from your position online, but it did really well. It flowed beautifully. And then Natalie, how did you go?
I find the part 4 and the Shavasana side really challenging. And then trying to do postures that I haven't done before, I tried to do that again. And there was lots of stuff that I forgot, and I want like all the Sanskrit names left me. I wanted to focus on like ceiling energy and Mula Bandha, and I wanted to you know, say like you say some stuff about chakras, and all of that just left me. I don't know, I just like nerves, stress, I just talked it through as if I was, there was not enough in it for me to be happy with how it went, with what I wanted to say. I feel like I just did the poses, demonstrated it, got to the end, and then I really wanted to figure out your intention, what it meant to me. So I like wrote it all out and wanted to understand it for myself before I would talk about it at the end. But in doing that, I ended up writing an essay. And then like this morning, I was like, I can't just wing this. Like I just have to read it because that's what my understanding is for today. And then next time, if I do it again, I won't write it down. I'll just try and say what I feel. But that's what it had to be today. And it is what it is.
That's just beautiful. That's fine. And so they were your own words that you wrote?
Yes.
So
that's my understanding of it after hearing your intention for today.
That's really beautiful because I assumed you were reading somebody else's.
Okay. Well,
Somebody
that's
else's
good.
words. So
Yeah.
I'm extra impressed. Very beautiful words. Well done.
Thank you.
When I heard those words as well, it's just like after when you finished, I was just singing mic drop. That was amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Natalie, I love your balance of words and silence. I've said that before, and the power of your words today was immense. That was really, really nice. Finishing that flow that way.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm happy to work. Like I was Savasana when you were reading your words.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
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 That was quite impressive.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
As a rule, I normally really enjoy your transitions from one pose to the next. Like I feel you put every time you put that extra effort, so the transitions are really smooth between one pose to the next. And for the whole flow, I think that your Shavasana was exactly what that flow needed. So yeah, for me, it was wonderful. I mean, sometimes is that just our personal expectations to something that carries the weight. But then when you hear your feedback from us or from your students or whoever it's doing your flow, then also embrace that and kind of let go of everything that you actually wanted to do, and embrace that feedback, which for me, it was beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks, Renata.
I gotta say as well, because I had the thoughts I might as well share, is I was back at my studio in Caulfield this week, and when I was just listening to you, just going through everything, it just felt like I was in a yoga class. And so here we are training, and yeah, just having that feeling, it's like, yeah, it's come so natural.
Thanks. I need to listen to it back because my voice I find goes really shaky and I just forget lots of words, but maybe I just cover that up. Not like, okay. So yeah.
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah, voice cussing.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's a thing.
Watch yourself back. You'll surprise yourself.
Yeah.
You sound so confident, and it seems it comes across so natural to you. Like your awareness of the postures is really, wonderful.
What else is really interesting though is how much you were able to reflect on how you could have improved it, what you felt like you left out, what you could have done differently. And so again, like here, it just felt like an incredible flow. But for yourself, that awareness that you have is going to help so much. It's impressive.
You get that, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Nat. Do you do your own, like with your own practice, do you do your own like energy work? Like do you do much pranayama or like work with the bandhas yourself? Like do you do that? Because I know you said that you wanted to bring in more of the energy side of things. So do you do that in your own practice?
Bandhas only since we've been doing the lectures and I've been more conscious of it, but like even in like the frog pose and those poses, I really wanted to do that, and when I'm at home, yeah, I have to really think about it, remind myself, but it's not natural to me yet, but I have been trying to do it more at home. And in terms of breath, like Ujjayi breath just feels so natural to me, I just do it all the time, so I automatically just like slow, steady Ujjayi breaths throughout all my postures, but all of like other pranayama styles I have not been practicing. I really want to, and I've got all of your stuff. I just need to learn and practice it.
Maybe even a little bit of Kundalini. You might even find that. Have you done Kundalini before?
I haven't, and when everyone talks about it, I still don't know really what everyone's talking about. So yes, I
reckon that would be good for you, because it'll help you embody that that energy side of the practice.
It's really good advice.
Yeah.
Breath of fire. I'm sorry.
You could go and check out Onkatesh. She's got her YouTube channel.
She's amazing.
Okay, cool.
Teaching.
So you're going to come back
For Christmas.
Speaking of breath of fire, just a little advice, and this is probably very personal, but when Kevo brought the breath of fire, my sinus are like this with the changes of weather, and after the first breath of fire, I had to jump into and get a napkin or something. So maybe it's just having some tissues or whatever when we're bringing pranayama in the morning, or if it's early, or if you see that someone might have a slight flu. So that's something that in the retreat Mickey was with the toilet paper, just passing it through everyone just before we started pranayama, and for me it's really, really helpful. My runny nose ever since I'm a kid, it's a problem.
Good one, Renata, thank you. That's a good point.
With the Kundalini, I've done a couple of classes in, they've closed down now, but the one in St Kilda, I forgot the name of it, but and she said to me as a morning practice, I should work on doing like up to, I think it was 11 minutes of breath of fire, and breath of fire is like a really big part of Kundalini, so you could just start to experiment with that as another breath technique.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it is.
What I would just like to say is you said you struggled with the ending, the Shavasana, and then obviously the ending as well. You asked somebody else if anyone else wanted to read the lines.
Yes.
And you kind of just didn't really close
Yeah.
the session.
To be honest, I even like find it hard doing namaste and bowing because I don't fully understand it. Like I don't think anyone's really explained it. I should look it up myself. But I was doing readings, so I'm like, I feel like a fake. I feel like an imposter when I'm going namaste or namaskar because it's not my language and I don't really know what it means. And apparently, like you're not meant to bow and do it because, like, doing that and bowing means that. Like, I don't know, I'm just really confused about doing it.
I think this is a good point. It's something let's try and nail that down. So, I mean, first of all, what does namaste mean? I mean, literally it means the spirit in me respects the spirit in you. I recognise that we are one. It's a recognition that we are all one. That we're seeing each other truly from that kind of heart perspective, that we are all interconnected. You know, the sacredness within me is the same as the sacredness within you. The divine within me is the divine within you. We are the same from that non-dual deeper perspective. So that's really what it means. That's the essence of namaste. Now, a lot of people say namaste and they probably don't even know that that's what it means. They just see it as a end of class, thank you, or salute, goodbye, whatever. So in that situation, you could say, well, do you really, are you being true to what you're saying here? And then look, I guess there is the also the idea that some people get really get wound up by that whole thing, and how it's become almost just like this trend within the yoga circle. Namaste, it's up on your shirt, it's everywhere. It's it's being commercialized. So some people get really upset about that, and so there is almost like a movement of like we shouldn't even be saying that because it's being disrespected. I'm of the opinion that I think it's important to understand what it means if you're going to say it. But then you make your own choice. I think it's we're going back into duality. It's really bad to do it, or it's really great to do it. If you feel okay with it, then great, do it. If it doesn't flow for you, don't have to do it.
For some reason it doesn't, like the words don't want to come out, and I ended the class with thank you, and then you said namaste.
No, bad.
Like, yeah,
So maybe then you need to consider, well, what am I going to say?
Yeah.
What feels good for me?
Yeah.
To close this circle. And we've got to consider that when we do a class, it's essentially a ceremony. We're coming together to create a sacred ceremony where we're exploring ourselves. It's a practice of self-inquiry ultimately, and whether we just want to maintain the focus on the asana, that's fine. But even the asana itself, we're still inquiring into the nature of how our bodies work and how the energy moves and how we feel within the asana. So it is a sacred practice that we've come together to do. So I think it's always, you should always consider that, how do I create this sacred space? How do I hold this sacred space for others? And I think that's really important that we somehow do that. And it doesn't have to, we don't have to get the incense out and all the things and play specific tracks and chant. But we can, if we're drawn to it, we can. If it feels in our hearts and that feels good, then by all means, go for it. But if it doesn't, then you need to consider, well, what does it mean for me? How does it, how does it work for me? And it could be, I don't know, it could be whatever you like, really. There's no rules. It could be like, let's all give ourselves a high five, but there needs to be something to have the closure. I mean, it could be just doing nothing and just being still and just coming back to your breath, reconnecting to the earth, whatever it might be, reconnecting to silence. And then at some point you've still then got to obviously say, thank you for coming. However you want to wrap it up. But there needs to be some kind of closure.
No, that's
I
good.
think.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, have you had the experience where it was seen as cultural appropriation? Because I think, especially now,
Cultural misappropriation.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess some people could say that. Yes, that's a possibility, and I do know one guy who has a real hang up with that Indian culture being misappropriated in yoga classes.
How do you neutralize that energy?
I think really it's if in your own heart you feel you're doing the right thing by the tradition, by everyone. I mean, maybe it helps to acknowledge the tradition itself. That could be a way to work through that. And sometimes I'll say that, like, at the start of the class, we often like to acknowledge the original custodians of our lands and waters, but you could also add that we also acknowledge the sacred tradition of this practice, which stems from India. So just a little acknowledgement, something like that, can, I think, help to iron out that. But, you know, I think ultimately, yeah, you need to be comfortable in your own heart, sharing what you feel is right for you.
And of course, bringing out the understanding of everything evolves. In order for people to grow, we need to embrace change. Practices change, traditions change. We drop what's dysfunctional, we make better what's functional.
Exactly.
It's just evolution.
We've shifted into, this is like we're shifting from ethnocentric beings to world-centric beings, and as we continue to grow and evolve, naturally we're going to be mixing and sharing, appreciating other cultures and traditions, and as Vicky said, how you choose to honor that, it's going to be unique to you. But I think anybody who's at the class, they can see the sincerity.
Yeah.
One of my clients says namaste to me in Pilates, and I don't know if she knows what it is, but she sent me a message, and at the end she said namaste, and I said no, and sometimes I don't say it back, but some like because we're in a physio clinic, but I wrote to her in my message namaste dash. My version of it is the light in me sees the brightest light in you. So that's how I've interpreted it. So, so it's like instead of saying the word namaste, you could say your meaning of unity, or acknowledging the light in another.
Yeah, good point. I also sometimes will do that too. I'll say namaste and say the spirit within me acknowledges the spirit within you, speaks the spirit within you. And particularly, if you're in a class where you think, I don't know if these people know what namaste is. So it's okay. So it's not just some catchphrase on our shirt. It's an acknowledgement from the heart.
But as well as that, like when doing asanas, there's an energy where you're not being fully seen because people are in their bodies and they're doing their poses and they're working on themselves. But when you're sitting at the front of the class at the beginning and end, everyone is then, you're being seen more, like it asks you to be more vulnerable, and that could be a scary place to be possibly if you haven't shown a deep side of yourself amongst like a group. So you might find it easy to do namaste to a friend, possibly, or like, I see the light in you, or I see how you're joyful, but to say it to a whole group of people is more vulnerable. So there is an invitation to step into Brene Brown, like vulnerability is courage, like I feel like it is vulnerable to be in that space, showing your heart, because so much of the time, you show your heart and then you get retaliation, and then you close, and then you have to then reopen to them, and then there's this contraction expansion. Whereas the journey, I guess for me, is like how can I stay open in the heart no matter what? Like, what and why am I contracting back in? So that's kind of like the deep part.
Beautifully put, thank you, Sam. And it comes back to even just simple thing of having being okay in silence for some time. It's really difficult, I understand. Particularly when we're starting out, you're out the front and everyone's looking at you and you're thinking, well, I'm wanting it to be silent right now, but you think, oh shit, you know, everyone's just waiting in anticipation for me to do something or say something or get them to move. But this is part and parcel of what we're trying to do, is to explore silence and allow people to be okay with that, and there will be discomfort in that. Other people will be uncomfortable, and you'll be uncomfortable, but we've just got to somehow get through that, and we've got to keep practicing that time. And for example, even, I'll come back to Kevo, to your, I don't think you have a problem with silence, but you know, even when you do, when we're exploring, say, pranayama, or you know, any kind of anything that has a bit of a, you know, a cosmic potential, I think it's really always important just to have a pause at the end. You know, if we're doing it, so I'm talking about your pranayama sequence. I was really impressed with what you brought in. I was like, oh, this is great. Kapalabhati, lion's breath, full Mahabandha. What a great little sequence to start off with. But it needed a little time at the end just to sit in that energy. You know, you did it 3 times and then move straight into the next sequence. And it doesn't need a lot of time, these things. And it's the same with our Oms as well. We do our Oms, it's also a big, powerful Om. It's powerful. It's that, the vibration of creation. It's the vibration of the essence of non-dual awareness, really. And so when we Om, we have that potential to drop into that space. And so it's super powerful. And we need, you know, you just need at least a few moments. It doesn't, you don't have to give people 5 minutes. Or we can, but you know, we often think, oh yeah, shit, okay, done the exercise, done the technique, and then let's get on with it now, because otherwise there's going to be this awkward silence. But if we've done a certain technique which has a cosmic effect, like Om or some pranayama, then I think most people, if they've done it properly, they'll appreciate that silence, that pause, that space.
Mickey, can I just ask Natalie, or everyone, but specifically Natalie, have you experienced or do you find any benefit from the experience of the vibration of Om?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Just because I just wanted to say that I personally find it one of my favorite parts of the class, because when I first started yoga, I was surprised that I got benefits just simply from that vibration of making that sound. So yeah, I just wanted to open that up to you, just to maybe explore it yourself and do what you're comfortable with, but don't be afraid of it. And it's good that we're talking about this as cultural misappropriation, all that sort of stuff, but there is that physical benefit to that vibration.
Yeah, good point. And you know, Om as well, we could go back to that. Is even Om culturally misappropriated sometimes?
I don't believe there is any cultural misappropriation unless you say sort of like, or you make yourself out to be part of a culture, and you're not. Otherwise, we're just using tools. But culture is, you know, Kenneth McKenna would say, culture is not your friend. You need to transcend culture. But we can take the tools from it. And that's also what neo-shamanism is, you know. Everybody now talks about shamans, and shamans originally are only from Siberia. And everybody thinks they're from the Amazon originally, which is not. They're medicine men. So, curanderos, yeah. So, you know, culture misappropriation, that is I believe more just an ego thing, that someone feels stepped on their toes by someone else because, you know, oh, it's my culture, or I don't feel connected to that, it doesn't resonate with me, so I'm going to complain about it.
Yeah, that's a big topic of debate, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I pretty much agree.
On the other question that Mel posed, by the way, with the vibration, so and that, usually I would actually, but I felt the pressure so much, stopwatch, oh shit, gotta move on. But usually I would, you know, also say, now bask in what you just did. Because I do it at home as well. I sometimes also do the chakra chants. And then the last one is silence. And when you actually create that time, you just sit and then go again. And yeah, it's very powerful to do that, just that, and then sitting in silence with yourself. The Brahmari is very powerful to actually notice that full force. The Brahmari? This one and then
Yeah, I mean, I think the question, it depends if you allow yourself to actually do like, are you, it's like, or are you like, like, how can you, like, because I've done a lot of voice workshops because I had a really, like, when I was a child, I didn't talk for a number of years, so I'll let the story, but I've had to do all these, like, voice workshops to find my voice, so it really depends if you feel confident in using your voice, and that's another, it could be like an energetic block or something just around the throat that's not allowing, or you need to give yourself permission or start singing more, like, if that's something that resonates, then you can go down the track of, like, exploring your voice. So, yeah, it's like, that's a whole nother, maybe when we do the mantra yoga with that lady, that's what she does, is the exploration.
Friday, guys, you did mantra reading.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we did.
That was a while ago.
Yeah.
That was online.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that was not fun for me.
Oh, me neither.
But
it was on Zoom, so it was safe for me.
So you feel like you don't, do you like singing though?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I like that mantra thing. I had a panic attack and turned my video off, and I just like couldn't go back online.
Okay.
And like even when it comes down to like you guys asking a question when you or Amy, it's like, who wants to do this? It's like, I'm never going to be the first person to say something, but if you say, Nat, do you want to do it? Then I'll do it. So like it's all relevant.
I used to be like, I resonate with that. Yeah.
But it's like turning into a therapy session.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know what you mean. Oms are hard for me. Like anything that I don't really understand or like using my voice is like a challenge for me.
But that's beautiful because it's authentic. It means that you only do whatever is true to you.
Yeah. I think that's positive. Yeah.
Nat, can I add, Natalie, this is just my opinion, I wouldn't stress too much because I think that everyone will have their own unique version of a class to offer. And I just would like to see you be comfortable and proud of what you're offering. I think, like Mickey said, though, it would be important to find that closing of a class, but I think you could make that your own. And don't stress about forcing yourself into anything.
Yeah, no, that's really important. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say before. I think, yeah, we've got all these tools, like you said, Kevin. They are tools essentially, but you need to use which ones align with you. Which ones resonate with you, and that will change over time. Maybe now you're not comfortable with Namaste and Oms, but maybe in the future you will be. And if you're not, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
It's just certain tools. There's certain things I don't do in class, never, because I just don't work for me. It's just the way it is. We're all, in our expressive uniqueness, we're all unique. While there is that idea that we're wanting to recognise and connect to each other from that deeper level of oneness. But by and by, we're here expressing ourselves in an individual bubble as a human, me as Mickey and you as Natalie, and we're different in that regard, and so we just need to acknowledge that and be okay with that. All right, that's a good chat, guys. Let's have a little lunch break, shall we? And 2:16. We'll come back at 3:10, shall we?
What time? 3:10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buon appetito. So maybe just fine tuning some of the asanas first, yeah? What I saw today is it was working our lunges first of all, just to kind of fine tune that. So it does get confusing, and there's often different ways of expressing things and calling things. But if we're doing a lunge like that, what would you call that?
Anjaneyasana, kneeling.
Anjaneyasana. And in English?
Oh, crescent lunge. Kneeling crescent lunge.
Crescent lunge.
Or a low crescent lunge.
Or a low crescent lunge. So what would that be then?
High crescent lunge.
High crescent
Or
lunge.
just crescent lunge.
Yeah. Or a high lunge. And
I
a
feel
low
actually
lunge.
crescent is always with this and a bit of back bend.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you create that moon.
Yeah, that's a crescent, exactly. So in theory, yeah, it can be high or low.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can be either called a high lunge or a low lunge. It can be called a crescent lunge either way, I guess.
Yeah, right.
And you could put the high or low in there if you like.
Yeah.
High crescent lunge. So it could be a high crescent lunge or a high lunge. It could be a low crescent lunge or a low lunge. It would be Anjaneyasana. Generally speaking, my understanding is Anjaneyasana is the low crescent lunge, and the high one is Ardha Chandrasana.
Ardha Chandrasana.
Ardha Chandrasana. And Chandra, remember, is the moon. So Ardha is that half. Ardha is half, isn't it?
Yeah, half moon.
No, sorry, it's not. No, it's Ashta Chandrasana. Because Ardha Chandrasana is half moon pose. We also explored before.
Or is it Urdhva? Urdhva is upright and Ardha is half. So it's Urdhva.
Mel, in your book, have you got your sequencing book there?
I'm pretty sure, because I wrote that down a few lectures ago, and it was Ashta.
I think
Yeah,
it's
I'm pretty sure you're right with the Ashta Chandrasana
What is
and the
Ashta?
Anjaneyasana.
What does Ashta mean?
Ashta means 8.
8. Oh, like Ashtanga.
Yeah.
Because Urdhva means upright.
Yeah, it's like the end limbs. It also Ashta. It's 8. Yeah.
Ashta is 8, so that, yeah, from Ashtanga. So why do we have 8 here?
Maybe there's like another meaning for Ashta.
Or maybe it's the 8th section of the moon.
Yeah.
Because the crescent moon is the 8th
Yeah,
section.
it could be something like that. If that's the right name for those.
Yeah, Ashta Chandrasana, crescent high lunge.
Oh. That's so interesting. what does like the yoga book say though? Not the manual, but like the actual Iyengar kind of. Yeah, does it have it in there?
So I don't think it is in there. I mean, it might be.
So are you after the Sanskrit for high lunge?
Yeah.
Ashta.
Ashta.
Yeah. Ashta Chandrasana.
Ashta Chandrasana.
High lunge or crescent. That's in here.
Yeah. Does it give us any idea why we call it Ashta? 8.
So like the 8th moon is the crescent.
Crescent.
Yeah. It is the crescent. The 8th the 8th phase of the moon. Yeah?
Okay. How many phases are there?
At least 8. At least 8.
Yeah.
Well, I would have thought.
Like 12? No, I don't know.
Yeah. How many?
No, I think there's 6 on each side, no? I don't know.
I don't know. We'll have to look
It
at
actually
that.
makes sense, it would be 8 or 12.
But we call it was 8 because
8,
it's 8
the 8
phases of
phases.
yoga.
8 phases of the moon.
Oh, so it's like the 8 phases of yoga, the 8 phases of the moon. There's probably a whole thing here around 8.
So new moon, waxing, crescent moon, first quarter moon, waxing, gibbous moon. So I guess the Ashta, if it's the 8th one, it would be the waxing, gibbous. No, is that right? It depends where you start. It started on the full moon. It started on the full moon. Or the new, no, you're right. It started on the new moon.
Yeah.
So it would be the waxing crescent.
Oh,
moon.
yeah.
Oh no, hold on. It goes the other way around.
Oh,
Waning crescent moon.
yeah. Yeah, and then we could go into what is the waning nose.
Now we said
Waning.
Thanks, yeah.
Okay, that's that.
My mind's at ease.
Parshvakonasana. Parshvakonasana. Which one is that pose?
Pyramid pose?
No. Parshvakonasana. Parshvakonasana, sometimes pronounced Parshvakonasana in some way people pronounce their Sanskrit. I'm not sure why, but that's how I view it. It's written Par, P-A-R-S, D, Parshvakonasana. Sometimes pronounced Parshvakonasana. No one know which pose that is? You guys online? You don't? No?
Is that what, like 4?
It's the one with the front foot at 90 degrees. So it's like a triangle with a bent knee.
Yeah, kind of.
The extended side angle.
Extended side pose.
Pitta Parsvakonasana or just Parsvakonasana?
Sorry?
Was it Pitta Parsvakonasana or just Parsvakonasana?
Yeah, often there's an Uttita in there as well. You're
Because
right.
the Uttita is extended.
Which is the, that's the extended part.
Yeah.
I think probably this day anyway. Right it that way. Svakonasana. Uttita, yeah. Uttita, 44. Uttita, because then you've also got parivritta as the other possibility. So Uttita is the extended lateral angle pose, as it's called here. So Parsva means your side or your flank, and Kona is the angle, which is why Trikonasana is the triangle, the 3 angles. 3, and the Kona is angles, so the 3-angle pose, triangle pose. And Parsvakonasana is the angle that we're extending through our side. And extension of that. So traditionally, when we look at the way Iyengar teaches hardness, Konasana, he would, we often come into it with, just making sure you guys can see me. We often come into it in the, let's say, the beginner's version, the first krama, of bringing the forearm to the thigh. That's a great way to start our Konasana journey. Forearm to the thigh, you get that support, it's not too strong that way. Now, when you're bringing this, the idea is the full pose. There are variations, of course, variations of lifting the arm straight up. That's like a variation that you see, but it's not how Iyengar would teach it. So he doesn't teach it that way. His idea is to really focus on that, the whole side body, creating that one straight line from your fingers to your heels. That's one nice straight line. That's the side angle that we're looking for. So he teaches it that way. So I often see you guys, or people in general, they'll come into it bringing their arms up first. They might just hang out there, and then from there they might bring their arm over to come into it. And you can do it that way, but sometimes depending on your shoulder girdle, it would actually benefit to actually sweep the arm through this way and then draw it back, because that just helps you to get through. Otherwise sometimes that shoulder can get stuck. So try it, come up and try, first of all, bringing the arm up and then just placing it over your head, extending it over your head, and just feel into how that feels for your shoulder. And then go the other way where you sweep the arm to the front and then bringing it into position, drawing the shoulder back. And for me, I don't know about you, I think everyone will have a different feeling, a different sensation. But for me, when I come that way, I can sort of get a bit stuck. Whereas if I go this way, that really clicks in beautifully. It gives me that greater freedom in the shoulder. Is that something you can feel?
Yeah.
Yeah? So, on that note, I feel like it's a good way to teach it, to instruct people, as one of the kramas, is to sweep that top arm to the front. You sweep it to the front, so from the back coming down to the front, and then you draw the shoulder back and lock into that side angle. And it's not, this is not, it's not like an absolute, but I feel like it's a nice option. Now, the other difference that we often see is when we're coming into the full pose, where do we actually place that bottom hand? So a lot of people bring their hands down to the inside of the foot, but then there's also to the outside of the foot. Now, Iyengar teaches it to the outside of the foot. So that is kind of like the traditional, correct way, to the outside of the foot.
Yeah.
It's a little hard.
Yeah.
And that's where you might need potentially that block.
It is nice because then you can push your knee out into your arm and then activate the glute. Yeah.
Yeah, you end up activating kind of the hips and the glutes in different ways.
Yeah.
Just because of that, you're pushing out.
Yeah.
Whereas this way, you push in.
And then, okay.
And look,
yeah.
both of them, I feel, have their advantage.
Yeah.
And just doing that, it looks like your chest opened up more on the inside.
On the inside, chest opens more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Did that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, definitely this way, it's a great external hip rotator. That feels really good for the hip. This way, it's almost like you're starting to go into internal rotation somewhat because the body's almost coming to the other side. So you can get a little more stuck in the hip, whereas there you're going to bring the body on the inside, so that hip opens up a bit more. So again, yeah, it's something to explore, maybe within your own practice, but again, just telling you that traditionally it's actually on the outside. That's the traditional way to do it. If you look at all the Indian photos of people doing it, they'll all have the hand on the outside. I think this definitely got it on the outside. It seems a bit more like a Western adaptation to have the hand on the inside. So yeah, so not something right or wrong, but just something to be aware of. Traditionally on the outside, that kind of feels nice on the inside too. So explore. If you're going into your bind, it kind of works nicely from the inside because you're already there. If you're on the outside, then you have to bring it around. So if you're in the inside, you're in position for the bind. What I like to often teach is to encourage people to try it first on the outside when you're just doing the pose statically. But then maybe the next vinyasa round when you're coming back to it, then I might say, well, let's bring it on the inside now so we can come into a bind. So we can swap as an option, as a possibility.
With these like angle standing poses, do you have any tactile cues, like how to help position the rib? Like, would you just use your hands to lift the ribs? Adjustments.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
So,
yeah. That's usually what happens. Do you want to try and move it close?
yeah. I'll take this one.
So that is often the encouragement is to encourage the body to move the other way. So, maybe that shoulder there and then the hand under here just to help in that rotation.
Okay.
And then you might encourage that arm like such.
Yeah.
Is it important to have that bent knee, that thigh parallel to the floor? Is that more important, or is getting the rotation of your torso up to the ceiling more important?
I'd say that the rotation of your torso, like getting that side angle looking nice first, and then that's you work towards that, because that's really just as how far can you open the hips for that. How far can you drop the hips down? So
Strong thighs.
yeah, and strength. But yeah, you work towards that. And often it's just encourage people to take a wider stance. That'll often help. The wider the stance, usually the further you can come down. And what's some of the other important things when we're in, so if we're in this pose, Parsvakonasana, what are some of the other important things to consider?
Neo ankle. Neo
The ankle, yeah. Where because often what happens is people's knees come in.
Yeah, so straight over it, so not tracking out or in.
That's right.
So
Toes tracking ahead and knee in line with that.
And then also
Stacking the hips, I was going to say. I guess that happens when you open the chest.
no, actually, because your back leg does an internal rotation and your front leg does an external rotation. At least in warrior two. And this is the same stance, I guess.
Yeah.
Another thing is tucking the chin actually helps to lengthen the neck when you actually do that looking over the shoulder.
Yeah, ultimately you want to look underneath.
Or
That's the
underneath,
position
yeah.
of the head. So you want to often avoid that. People often hang their head. So you want the head to, you want the neck to be in line with the spine, essentially. You want a nice straight line. I mean, it's a line that's probably slightly curving. There's a slight sort of curve to that line, but you want the head to follow that trajectory. So not hanging the head, which often happens. So when you lift the arm up, then also, when the arm's in line with that, with the side angle, then it's also sort of reflecting the line of the spine. When you bring the arm up, then that's just creating another dynamic, another line into the body, crossing that trajectory. Again, I mean, there's all variations and there's no ultimate right or wrong, but in that full pose, doing that just feels more fluid in the sense of energetically. It's all, everything's in one, flowing in one direction. The spine, the arm, the head. The other thing, what about the feet? How do we do with that feet?
You feel pressure.
Lifting up the inner arches, particularly the back foot. If you let go of the inner arch of the back foot, which often happens, then you're not as strong in your inner thighs, and there can be this kind of collapsing of the leg. So when you engage the inner arches, the thighs engage, the inner thighs engage, and you're just stronger, more stable, more connected in the bones.
Also that elbow, like, the shoulder, it's hard to sometimes correct that in people.
Yeah.
Like that it's hard to get that lift unless you've been.
Yeah, sometimes people will collapse in their shoulder. So you want to encourage the shoulders to be open and roll back.
Yeah.
So it's it's a dynamic pose. There's no letting go. There's no full surrender.
There's no relaxing. Yeah.
You want to be active throughout.
Yeah.
In that pose. So that's Parsvakonasana. Now, when we say Paravritta, Parsvakonasana, that's Uttita Parsvakonasana. Paravritta, what does Paravritta mean again?
Twist.
Revolving.
There's a revolution, there's a twist, there's something happening. So, what's Paravritta? Parsvakonasana.
That's this one.
It's this one.
Okay, so again, we're confusing a couple of things. So we often bring in the Paravritta Ardha Ashta Chandrasana, which is that one there. Yeah, so Paravritta Ashta Chandrasana, which is either with the hands in prayer, like that, or spreading the
That's
wings
that
out.
from the lunge.
That's with the back heel off the ground.
Okay.
So it's technically Paravritta Ashta Chandrasana.
But Paravritta Parsvakonasana is just with the back
is
foot down.
the back foot down, but we're still looking for that side angle.
Okay.
So it's actually a really, really hard pose to do. But it's essentially, you've got that, the back foot down, you lift up, you come, it's a bit hard straight after lunch, but you open up there, you bring that hand down, and then you sweep that arm through and back.
That's a strong one,
Yeah.
Have a try. We can talk about these things, but try them as well.
It's good to get into it from this. Yeah.
Yeah.
like to twist and then.
So for many of us, we would probably need a block for that.
Yeah.
But that's a really deep internal rotation of the hip.
This is probably where people would also push themselves too hard into the twist, because it's already hard to get the knee around, the elbow around the knee.
Yeah.
And I always find like these twists where you use your elbow, they're a bit of a slippery slope for people that are not properly twisting yet, because they use that to twist themselves instead of actually twisting first with the core. And this one is just inviting for spinal injuries, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really advanced pose, in fact. And you know, I'll really bring that one into the pose.
Is there a like the bind for that? Is that the full pose?
The full pose is with the hands.
Is
yeah. So
the
the bind is just another variation.
Okay.
Yeah. And in Sanskrit, a bind is bada. So basically, if you put bada in front, it's bada, padadukta. Parsvakonasana would be the bound extended at the side angle pose.
I had in my mind that if the bind was like the full posture and like the extended was like the bit before the bind.
Yeah. No, that's the full posture right there.
Oh. Yeah.
That side's moving for me. That's my. My hips aren't liking this one today, that's for sure.
So that back foot, the heel just needs to be down. Does it also need to be stay at that angle, or?
It's going to be a bit more like that. Yeah.
The distance between the legs is also important, just to keep that balance. If the legs are too narrow between each other, balance is almost impossible in that revolve one.
Yeah.
Probably hip width apart.
Oh, you mean along,
Sorry.
tracking along, yeah.
But like this, just a little bit further out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say you would make that little bit of an adjustment, like we do in like we do in our sort of high lunge, that kind of stance. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had a class where you should put that pose in.
No, it's really rare.
I've only done that at home.
It's really rare. I mean, Clive does it in his sessions. That's the only place in the world. You do it in a Ashtanga, wouldn't you?
The primary series doesn't have it in it.
Does or doesn't?
Does.
Then I wanted to just touch upon Ardha Chandrasana. So Ardha Chandrasana is our half moon pose. So with Ardha Chandrasana, there are different ways in which you might come into it. You know, you can sort of come into it from the legs already apart, or you can start with the legs together and step back, or you can start from, let's say you're in a high lunge, or you're in a warrior two, or in Trikonasana. You know, those standing postures can be nice ways to come into it. But usually it's harder to have, you know, if you're in warrior two, to go straight from there, it can be a bit challenging. You normally want to bring that back foot in a little, So when you're standing on both legs, you it's easy then just to shift the weight into the front leg. So that kind of distance. So basically, I would normally instruct if you're warrior 2 wanting to come into Ardha Chandrasana, we'll just step the back foot in a little and then lift off. So one of the keys is that we're bringing all the weight into the standing leg. And what sometimes people do, whether they have a block or not, is it's almost like they're bringing all the weight into the arm. So you want to avoid that. All the weight's through the leg. The hand that comes down is there just to stabilise. So whether we can reach the ground or not. Now, we don't have the hand directly out in front. It's not that straight line. It's actually, if you kind of just stand on your one leg and just allow the arm to hang, it's sort of just out to the side a bit. It's like a 30-degree angle or something from the foot. And that's literally where we want to be. So wherever that kind of lands, not trying to reach too far forward or too close.
You don't fall on
So a good way to think of it, you have your body parallel to the floor with you're trying to stack your hips, and then you just allow the arm to hang down, and where then the fingers touch the ground, that's pretty much where you need to be. And generally that's about a 30-degree angle from the foot, 20 centimetres away, something like that. But again, that exact distance will depend for everyone. But yeah, it's not. So again, there's some stacking of angles again here, that the arm should be, I guess, parallel to the leg. And then the body and the top leg should be in one straight line. And then we should have the hips stacked. So here your left hip's over the right hip, and the shoulders also stacked. So my left shoulder is over my right shoulder. And that's the pose. And then, you could potentially just lift those fingers off if you wanted to. So stacking of the shoulders, stacking of the hips. And the challenge there is, lifting up that back leg a little more. And this is a nice way to adjust someone in this pose, is to hold onto their wrists, hold them underneath their thigh there, and just kind of lift without doing too strong. Just a little encouragement. Yeah, if you can, you look up, turn the head to look up.
And then the toes are flexed towards the face, yeah?
Sorry?
Toes are flexed towards your face.
Those are flexed,
Yeah.
You have to sort of kick your heel back, actually.
Press heel back. That's it, good.
Now go.
How are you?
My balance is a little off at the moment. My knees aren't doing too good.
Adjustment. So probably you want to block, I reckon, so you can get up. So, like I said, let's just use this as an example. Do it without the block. Do it like you were. Now, Aisha's got, compared to say me, she's got small arms, shorter arms, and I've got long arms. So with her fingers on the ground, it's hard for her to get that hip high over the other hip, because that's where she's touching. But as soon as she uses a block, it might change a little bit.
So super conscious now.
But you can see already how her hip is now so much better. Before it was way down there. Now she's managed to stack that hip so much more beautifully. So that's where that block can make all the difference. And that's just, you know, it's just an anatomical thing. I know me, I've got nice long arms. And so for me, I don't really need.
You want to feel the adjustment? You want to feel the adjustment? Do it in the mirror.
I'm so glad you said Nikki is on to wait like for a while. I know I've been guilty of that. It's like I feel so stable and open, but all the weight is going straight into that one.
That's basically.
That's it. All the weights on the standing leg. Here we go. There's a picture perfect position.
I'll stay there.
So how do my eyes focus on my
And what often can happen in this one too, people who are quite flexible in their shoulders, so they'll overextend the arm further back as well. But then it just, you know, you're coming out of the integrity of the pose. You just want a nice straight line. Straight lines.
Beautiful mirror.
Yeah.
You could do it like this.
And then there's also
Yeah.
Because then you can like feel the whole back of your body on the wall. Yeah.
Ardha Chandrasana.
Yeah.
And what's one of the things we need in that? We need some good core strength, don't we, as well? I mean, it's opening the hips, balance, but also a bit of core. So you can encourage a bit of Mula Bandha and a bit of Uddiyana Bandha, if you like, in that pose. A bit of connecting to the core.
It does.
Really strong.
Ardha Chandrasana. What's Chandrasana? Yeah.
Moon pose.
Is there a full moon pose?
Well,
There's also Ardha Chandrasana.
Oh,
What he was just doing.
yeah.
Which
Okay.
maybe is the full moon pose, because that's the
I think
most
we did that
difficult.
with Clive. I've never done that before. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, everyone's got it. That's right. So you'd have it.
There's an element that makes it easier because you actually twist it so there's counterbalance.
So you can sort of in line.
Okay.
No, it's actually that hand.
So this is.
That's normal.
Yeah, so that's half. Yeah.
That's half. The
Yeah, it's half.
Ardha
Yeah.
So rotated half moon pose.
Maybe
Revolve half
full
moon
moon
pose.
pose.
Revolve
It's
half
a
moon
full
pose.
moon pose.
it's not coming up on Google.
Yeah.
We'll have to make one up.
Well, maybe it is actually that Shashankasana because they call that the pose of the moon.
Oh, that one where you go
Yeah.
down and up.
Maybe, I don't know. But it's also a rabbit or hare pose.
But yeah, that's how. So a nice little sequence, which I think Clive does.
Yeah.
I like to do anyway. I think I learned from him, which is you start in your half moon pose, Ardha Chandrasana. You go into Paravritta Ardha Chandrasana. So the difference when you go into Paravritta is you square the hips to the ground, still press the heel back, and then you bring that twist. You lift the arm up. And then back to Ardha Chandrasana, and then into Baddha Ardha Chandrasana, into the bind, so you're reaching for the foot. The Baddha Ardha Chandrasana. Any other of the asanas that need any sort of clarification? Asanas. sort of standing asanas mostly for now. We haven't done, I mean, you guys did inversions yesterday. Well, you guys haven't.
No.
So we'll get to that. But everyone else, we've done forward bend, done back bends, done twists. No?
No, I think we're just
Saturdays,
going back
maybe
and
twists?
forward bends.
You guys have done twists.
Yeah.
Okay, well that'll be another subject which we'll get to, and arm balances you probably haven't done yet, no?
No, that's coming in New Year for us.
Yeah.
So that's coming. But of the poses that we have done, is there anything else that?
Can I ask you something? It's a personal question. So over the holidays, I wanted to work on my handstand because I've never been able to do one, but I did one with my Pilates teacher. And what homework would prepare someone for head or handstands? Like, I feel like I can't find length, like in dolphin. Yeah, like I really struggle with dolphin to create the push on the ground. So that's my homework.
Yeah, that's great homework.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, you could do a little dolphin sequence, like a push-up dolphin sequence too, would be nice to add to that. You know, something where you're in your dolphin and then sort of work on that.
That's way.
Because that's going to work on the core of your shoulders.
Yeah.
Which is something that we need.
There's a couple more things because we had it yesterday.
So you did
and all that. So the setup for beginners would be to get into, like for example, for handstand, to get into, dolphin pose, and then place the crown of your head on the floor between your hands with your thumbs tracking up the back of your head. You walk as close as you can, and then you just first start doing this to get that experience.
Do you have much weight on your head though?
No, because that comes from pushing up the shoulders.
Yeah, see what happens is that's what happens is I drop into my shoulders and then all the weight goes
so just focus on pushing the ground away with your elbows.
And the shoulders away from the
And
legs.
the shoulders
away from the
ears.
And also making sure that you push this bone into the ground.
Okay.
And then there's less weight on the head. And then from there you can start doing the hops. So just small hops upward with a stretched leg. From there,
I'll have to practice it while I'm drawing.
Handstand, there's a lot of other things that come in.
Yeah.
That's also where your eyes are pointing to. And also, what I noticed with myself, often people in these poses stop breathing. That fucks with it. As soon as you stop breathing, you actually lose focus and control over your body. As soon as you gotta really just keep that breath going as well.
Thanks. I'll work on those two things.
Good stuff. I love it.
And even just some things like basic crane poses, crow poses.
Like crow.
That can give you that. That
Yeah.
strength and courage
Hold
in some ways.
That's good. Okay, thanks.
So was there any other poses that anyone had questions about? What about you guys online?
So, Aisha, so you taught Janu Sasana.
Janu Shirsasana.
Shirsasana. So, is Janu Shirsasana like this, but then Parvriti Janu Shirsasana is this one, but Aisha taught it like Parvriti, but called it Janu Shirasana.
She taught it as Janu Shirasana. I guess the difference was that she got us to open the leg up to the
Yeah,
side,
yeah,
but then
so it was a form.
she still then got us to come down
Yeah.
over that leg. So
I've never done it like that. I mean, it's it's good. Yeah,
it's just
it's just
the
different.
way we came into it.
Yeah, it was different.
But the pose was that.
Was that? Yeah, because we rotated our body. Yeah.
So the beauty of Janu Shirasana, let's say, because I think we missed out on.
Yes, that part. Yeah, that's Parivriti. So what am I talking about when we do this?
No, actually, this one is technically Parivrita. Janu
Isn't this
Shirasana.
more like lateral?
It is, but I don't know. It's called.
Yeah. Because then what's this called?
Is this nothing?
Yeah.
That is, I
It's
don't
an
know.
extreme variation that we don't need to know.
It's.
I taught that.
I work with this one here quite a lot,
Yeah.
which is actually.
Isn't that much?
That's called. It's called something else. It's normally actually the full pipe calls it something
True.
Yeah, he
You
calls
feel there,
it.
and then you hold on there.
Yeah. It's that. Yeah, I
Into
did
the
that
half
with
notes.
clients.
And yeah, it's got a name.
It's a really long.
It's a long name.
But it could be like that Matsai and Drasana kind of family. A twist. That's the, isn't that this kind of thing?
Yeah.
But he's doing it like this. Yeah.
Not sure. But back to Janu Shirasana,
Yeah.
because this is one that we didn't really fully explore when we did our forward bend. Was that last week? Or?
Yeah.
I think we didn't get time to explore Janu Shirasana. I mean, Janu Shirasana is often just seen, oh well, it's just the one-legged forward bend. But what happens? What's the difference? Like when you got your two legs together, you can try. Come into your Paschimottanasana and feel into. What I would like you to feel into is, how does it feel? How does the bend in the hips feel here? Where does it get stuck? How far forward can you go until does it get stuck in your hips here, or is it just the tightness of your back and your hamstrings?
Back and hamstrings,
Like
yeah.
that.
Predominantly back and hamstrings, yeah.
This way you get the bone in the way.
But yeah, ultimately we could also be getting stuck. Whereas when you open up one hip, you've suddenly created some space there.
Yeah.
That actually allows you to potentially come down further. Can you go further down on the one leg than the two legs?
It feels better. in my
Feel
back
more
as
stretch
well.
on the side back as well.
Yeah.
This actually does way more for your kidneys.
Yeah, this would be a better pose for most people. Yeah, because they're able to go further and not.
You've opened up, so you've created some space, and you can actually go further.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, that's what you should feel.
Mm.
So, which is why then it's called the head beyond knee pose, because you can, if you're flexible enough, you can get the head there. You go underneath.
Probably you can even go deeper if you just bring bend leg back behind you.
Like that.
Oh, that is a pose. It's the 3-leg stretch pose. But I think, no. Yeah, it is. Yeah, in one of the books.
But bring in like the open here.
For this one, like where it's tucked.
That right up next to you.
That's Supta Virasana, but single leg. But there is a stretch where you go forwards like this. Yeah.
There's a variation.
See, I don't find that actually. I find like this.
It
I can
doesn't
go.
do much.
I can go further forward. Here I get stuck a bit more.
Yeah, same.
It's
Yeah.
because it's
I don't really
that
like
internal rotation, I guess, that's happening. And that's for me, a few of us who did yin a few weeks ago, we looked at how we can all vary quite a lot with our external and internal rotation of the hips. And for example, myself, I'm very limited in my internal rotation. My external rotation is a lot better. So anything that's going to be focus on internally rotating, for me it's going to get stuck, it's going to be difficult. Which is why even with a classic Ardha Matsyendrasana, you might see some people teaching it this way, where you hook the arm around the leg and do it that way. For me, that's really challenging, because that really requires good internal rotation of the hips. For me, I just do that.
Yeah, that's easy.
That's great. That's wonderful. And so that becomes, a real personal thing. Where is how is that hip rotation happening in each of our bodies? So yeah, for you, maybe Renata, that variation opens you up better than the other one.
Yeah.
I suppose this one, the forward bend, where you bend up the knee and go forward and around. I find this one, I was going to do it today, but then I decided not to. I find that I don't know whether to sit back on that tailbone or not, and then I can't really get far at all. I'm just here that lots of people can bend forward, and when you bend forward, are you meant, like, is it okay if your sit bones come up off the ground?
That's Marichyasana.
Yeah.
And there's A, B, C, and D. Marichyasana, I can't remember all of them, but that's big in Ashtanga, isn't it? You step through all of those. Again, I've always struggled with the Marichyasanas, so it's not something I've brought in that much.
It's that hip.
I mean, ideally you'd want you both buttocks on the ground.
On the ground, yeah.
But then, like, my spine is so curved.
Why don't you sit on the bolster?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Probably a folded blanket.
yeah.
There's
That's
also two of us,
And there, from there, you basically breathe in to get that first before you fall anyway. I guess because you want to keep this one forward. After you fall that far. Get the belly out.
But with coming back to Janushrasana, we still want to keep the integrity in the spine, so it's still a nice straight back as we come down. So while it's called, that's often the misconception is head beyond knee pose. So we take it literally and we just bring that head down, curve this back. No, we want to keep the spine straight. So always a reminder that it's the journey that's important. Don't worry about the destination. The destination is the head beyond the knee, but if we get there now, if we get there next lifetime, it doesn't matter.
Leading with the chest always helps actually.
Yeah, leading with the chest, bring your rib cage to your thighs.
I have a question, because I see you sit sort of at a 90-degree angle, but I remember Amy telling us it's actually this one pulls back and the foot's in front of the groin instead of the foot in the thigh. Or when she's, I'm pretty sure we can't trying to do that.
I think it's a relative thing. What does it feel less?
Yeah, when I did some yoga in Bali with this guy who lives in Perth, he was so
That's actually for this one.
For that one, yeah. He spoke a lot about putting the heel at the perineum to activate, I think, the root chakra.
Yeah.
And for men and women it was different, like the left.
All the way back.
Yeah, as in like the heel touches into the vagina. Yeah, like in there.
Something in the way there.
Not like at the opening of the vagina, but like at the fold. Yeah. But it does feel different if you put your foot on your thigh versus right up. It's like a different feel. Yeah, I like it like up.
Yeah, on the thigh feels a bit better for me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's straight on the thigh.
That's right. This one here that you were talking about, this one here, is called Priyam Mukai Kapara Paschimottanasana.
Try remembering that.
Paschimottanasana.
Kriya Mukha Tri.
Yeah, I put that on my cards.
It's interesting, he doesn't actually have Jamashisasana in here. I mean, he's got a picture here, 136, 137, but he doesn't call it Jamashisasana, it looks like. Oh no, here it is, Jamashisasana. Yeah, actually, he does bring it right out. Sit on the floor with legs stretched out in front. Bend the left knee and move it to the left, keeping the outer side of the left thigh and the left calf on the floor. Place the left heel against the inner side of the left thigh, near the perineum. And the big toe of the left foot should reach the inner side of the right thigh.
Yeah.
The angle between the two legs should be obtuse.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, yeah, wider than right angles. Do not keep the left knee in line with the left thigh at a right angle. So no, not a right angle. It should be out.
So you actually, what you did was what the book says.
No, I
Like
was,
what I should do was like,
Just slightly.
yeah,
to
like,
the
as
side.
in you rotate slightly this way.
try and push the left knee as far back as possible so that the body is stretched from the bent leg. Extend the arms forward towards the right foot and hold it with the hands. First catch the toes of the right foot, then gradually catch the sole, then the heel, finally extend the arms and catch the wrist. Yeah, much stronger, isn't it?
Yeah. Interesting. And then would that be the same position to then go into the
Into the Haravrita? Yeah, I think so. So, bend the left knee and move it to the left, keeping the outer, so the same as before. Place the left heel against the inner side of the left knee. Yeah? Extend the left knee as far, yeah. But then the difference is you twist the trunk to the left.
Yeah.
Stretch the right arm towards the extended leg. Turn the right forearm and wrist so that the right thumb points to the floor and the right little finger points up. Then with the right hand, hold the inner side of the right foot. So like that.
Imagine trying to like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Be there forever.
yes, just to get this hand like
Throw the trunk back, stretch the left arm over the head. Again, this would help, this idea of what we did in Parsvakanasana. And then you stretch the left arm over the head, keeping the wrist up, and with the left hand hold the outside of the external right foot. Extend the right foot. Here also, the left thumb points to the floor and the little finger points up. So little finger's pointing up here, little finger's pointing up there. You hold
oh wow.
it to the
So
outside.
that hand goes out.
And then it's threading the head between the arms,
Yeah.
that's the challenge, and turning that torso to come up. And if you see him in this position, he's almost like lying on his back over his leg, which I can't imagine any of you being able to do. But this is a beautiful one for adjustment, like coming in and encouraging that rotation of the torso, so coming in under here. So one hand under that bottom shoulder, one hand on this shoulder. So really encourage that. So, show you guys to maybe someone else here.
Oh yeah. You can't get.
So yeah, and obviously if you can't get there,
Yeah.
what would you do?
Just stay this way.
You give her a strap.
Oh, yeah.
She had a strap. You can make that connection because you really want that connection because otherwise it's just floating.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's
If you-
that's like a full-
If you're not connecting.
So that hand
So that's there. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one there.
Oh, yeah.
You need to walk the hand down and strap.
Wow.
So one hand
Right,
at the top shoulder, one hand on the bottom one, and then you come in and walk. We're not going to go much further than
That's
that.
very tight.
So,
There's so much going on. It's twisting, stretching all sides.
it's an
And
incredible
then there's
process.
like compression and yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. This is
Nice.
It's just got to do
Oh, wow.
listen to this one nicely.
It's very good for the kidneys, this.
Oh.
Yeah, because you can just feel them being squeezed out and stretched out.
All right, let's have a little practice. Let's have a little practice teaching those poses we just explored. If we could all take turns leading us through one of them. Just remembering some of those kramas and seeing if we could guide ourselves through it. So, we'll start in here first, and we'll come to you guys on the screen too. Yeah. So, Sam, could you talk us through Utthita Harsvakonasana
Fine, yeah. Okay.
and any variations you might like.
So, let's stand to the side, facing the window. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Do you want to face the other way so you can see me?
I'll listen. You gotta be really good now.
Yeah. Now step your left leg out wide. And then turn your left foot forwards. So just check that your left heel is in line with the right inner arch. And the right foot is angled in just a little. Bend the left knee forward, so lunging forwards. And then bring the arms up into a T position. Bend your left elbow, dropping the left forearm onto the knee. And then swing your right arm forwards and down, and then up over your head, reaching long. Pause there, reach your fingertips away from your right foot, lengthening. Push down into your left elbow to open the chest and spiral the chest open, looking underneath your right armpit so your nose is in line with your sternum bone. And then hold. The sternum bone is that breastbone. So you want your nose to be in line with that. So the head only turns because you're spinning the ribs. And then just hold. And then slowly come out of it by pushing up through your left arm and straightening your left knee.
So my only thing I would say,
Oh, yeah.
just maybe not bring the elbow onto the knee, onto the thigh.
Sorry,
To the thigh.
onto the thigh. Yeah.
Onto the thigh.
I mean, I do that, but yeah, my words were
Yeah,
not right.
often that happens.
Ain't over here yet. Things like, personally, things like saying bring your nose in line with the sternum, I find that way too much for a yoga class.
Okay.
Because that brings in too much thinking as well.
Yeah.
Because that for me, like I know where my sternum is, but then I'm like, what do you mean in line with my sternum?
Like this.
Because that's actually,
Oh,
no, because you do it like this actually. So it's not right either.
No, but if you actually were rotating so much for your sternum that you were able to turn your sternum bone to the ceiling so that your nose would be in line with your sternum, like that's what you want to get to.
Is that what the end goal is of
You're
this one?
lacking the rotation, like.
But no,
that's-
but that's not the
Well, that's
goal, no? Because that,
the goal is to open here, not to turn.
but to
your
also maintain that
It's
line.
pretty difficult. I reckon it's possible.
It's possible.
You're spinning this so much, like this bone is trying, like your heart's trying to open to the sky so much that then your head looks up.
I get that.
Maybe it's a case of bring your sternum up
Up.
to
the-
join the trajectory of the nose.
Yeah, okay.
to move
Yeah,
up
I can
towards
probably
the
say it in a different way.
That's vocabulary, man. That's just gonna confuse people. To follow the trajectory of the moon.
Like
It's
you
fun.
wanna
Like the waxing gibbous moon.
What happens is most people, because there's so much flexibility in their neck, they rotate their neck way too much, but their sternum hasn't actually moved. So what I mean is like,
That's why there's a chin to chest thing.
yeah, but that doesn't actually, you can still keep your chin in and rotate your neck. So that
Yeah.
doesn't still stop you from not leading with your neck. Like, see, when you rotate, right, if you just
Yeah.
rotate like this, most people will do this. So their head's way back there, but they've hardly rotated their actual sternum bone. Ideally, you're like a robot, so if your nose is here, then you actually twist, but your head stays in line with your sternum bone, rather than letting your head turn and see now you've lost the connection of your nose to your sternum.
I don't think Amy would agree that.
Yeah, I'll have to ask.
Because we had a class on this one as well, and she fully encourages this.
To look up,
Yeah, to look up.
to
And
rotate.
to have the shoulders stacked and not doing that.
Yeah, I think you're both right
Yeah.
to a degree. I think
Yeah, there's a
we
bit
are
here.
trying to encourage the
The
chest,
heart
Yeah,
to open.
the heart to go to lift up towards the sky,
Yeah.
because that's, like you said, a lot of people are not strong in that opening, in that rotation. So that kind of rotation is really important. How you cue it,
Yeah,
that's debatable, but
yeah.
you know that is really important. And in a way, you do want to bring that first, and then
And
the
then
head
the
comes
head.
last.
Okay, maybe I can look deeper into
No,
the neck.
that's
Yeah.
The head, yeah. You can open up the chest, lift the sternum to the sky, and then the head just
Yeah,
follows through.
then that would be okay. Yeah.
So if you think about when we come back to, well, we haven't done our twists. You guys have.
Yeah.
But when we learn about twisting, we twist from the bottom up.
Yeah.
is always the really important way.
So the head's
follow.
kind of the
So the
last.
head comes up last.
gentle twist.
So the danger, which you were implying, is people who, you know, have just put their head up first.
Yeah, yeah.
And they
That's
haven't,
what most people
they
do.
haven't twisted the body yet.
Yeah.
And so then you're going to strain the neck.
Yeah.
So really, it is important to work from the bottom up. So you know, if anything, first is Mula Bandha, then it's Uddiyana Bandha, then it's opening up the chest and twisting,
You're
opening up,
usually going through the chakras.
and then finally,
Yeah.
finally that's all there. It's sort of sorted in place.
Yeah.
It's steady, and then the head can rotate from there. But if the head rotates first and then the body tries to follow, then that's where you could get issues with the neck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, good. What were the other poses we did? But we did Parivrita.
Parivrita, Udvita.
Parivrita,
Pasvakonasana.
Do you want to try that one?
It's revolving. Yeah, it's revolving.
The one that we all couldn't do.
Oh, yeah, the half moon going
No,
down.
this
revolving
one I
extended.
spot, but rotated.
Sure. Okay.
It's hard.
Give it a shot.
Alright, so starting with feet together, we're going to take our right foot and take it to the top of the mat. Our left foot at a 45 degree. We're going to come into the bending our right knee, so it's in line with the top of our toes and the right foot. Make sure that the right heel is aligned with the center of the left.
So this is something Renata brought up, which disappeared, but I think she had a good idea that actually we should be a little wider, because essentially we're squaring the hips to the front with this one, rather than working on that side angle. It's more squaring the hips to the front and then
It
coming
takes the
around.
knee further away though. For me, in terms of difficulty, the knee's here and that's the twist. Or if you take the knee further out, it's like even harder to get there for me.
I always align the heels, not with the arch with the heel, just the heel to the heel.
I align the arch with the heel.
That's,
It's a good point.
It's a tiny difference, and there's no wrong or right with that. Well, there is a wrong, but not with the arch or the heel on the heel.
Yeah, like the wrong is to flatten the foot.
Yeah, or going behind.
Or behind. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like anywhere in front.
Yeah,
like a line.
I always have my heels aligned because it just gives that extra stability.
Yeah.
And then the heels actually are a bit on the outside. So the outer blade of the foot is straight. Yeah.
But anyway,
That's all we have to take as well.
Ruben, your
That class of thing.
Yeah.
I'm doing so much there.
Yeah.
So we're going to put our hands into a prayer position and make sure before we do our twist that we're really bending into that right knee. And we're going to breathe in and lengthen. And when we exhale, we're going to come into the twist into our right, planting our left elbow over onto our left, over our right thigh. Make sure that back foot is rooted into the ground, activating your Ujjayi breath. And on your exhale, opening up your right hand into the sky, your left hand reaching down to the earth, making sure that you connect it to your breath. And that right hand is going to come forward and sweep all the way forward to the front of the cross, above your head. It's a strong pose, so when you're ready, release.
Yeah, again, you're trying to get that sternum bone to the ceiling.
this one actually requires pauses in that last little twist and then breathing in again. Because as soon as I stopped somewhere and I took a breath in, I created space to twist my belly past the leg. I've been looking into the light, so I see spots everywhere.
Doesn't mention the position of the foot.
Oh wow, yeah, you can do that.
Good, that was good.
Yeah, that was good.
Considering it's one that we struggle with. Aisha, what about half moon pose?
Coming to warrior two. Straighten that front knee and gently come leaning forward, about a 35-degree angle, lifting the rear foot off the mat. Gently turning your sternum, opening up your heart, drishti to horizon. And I've lost my words. When you're ready, come out of pose.
Good. So just one of the cues there, always I think is important to remind people to wade into the standing leg. So don't collapse into the hand, because that's just what often people do. And then maybe that stacking of the shoulders, stacking of the hips, and really trying to lift up that back body.
And also, you don't really want to leap onto a straight leg because most people will be hyperextended as a client. So you want it to be like a little bit, micro bit. Yeah.
That's a good point.
That's hard for me.
Yeah.
And are there cues with like planting the big toe into the this side? But we want the emphasis to be.
And like the first 3-point contact through the foot, the big toe, the little toe, it's like the diamond and the heel.
I guess it's just the part of under.
Yeah.
For sure.
But because you're balancing on the foot, then the toes come into play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Toes start to play with the other.
I feel like there's a silly question, but is the toe mount there? Yeah, okay. I never knew that until
Oh yeah, you could probably think more about that. The toe mound.
not the actual toe.
Yeah.
Plant the toe mound into the
There,
earth.
underneath. That's a good one.
But yeah, sometimes we'll have to let people know what the toe mound
I
is.
just thought that was a big toe. Folded it
Yes,
down.
That big lump underneath the big toe there on the foot.
Yeah.
There's our big toe mound.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah.
What about Harinukta Ardha Chandrasana?
That is, what is that?
Revolve half moon.
Revolved half moon. Alright, starting at the top of our mats, we're going to swing our left leg out to the side, not too far, not as far as warrior two, just a little bit closer. And then a little bend in the right knee. We're going to start to tip our weight forward. With our right arm extended, heading down for the ground until your fingertip. Oops. Sorry. The left arm out in front of us, and tilting your weight forward until your left fingertips get to the floor. Your left leg is active, strong, and out in front of you with your feet flexed. And then you want to engage your core and start to turn your chest to the right hand side of the room. You can have your right hand on your hip if that makes it a little bit easier. You can even do a bind with your right hand, so thumb down towards the floor, wrap it behind you, and bind your right arm which might help to open up your chest to the right-hand side of the wall or the ceiling. And you can turn your gaze with your sternum looking up towards the ceiling. Remembering to stay grounded in your right leg, a little bend in the knee, keeping your left leg active. And when you're ready for that, that was a long time, sorry.
That was good. Janu Shirsasana.
Janu Shirsasana. Everybody sit down, please. Come to seated Dandasana, staff pose. And from here, we're going to bring our left heel as close as we can to our perineum, pushing our left knee as far out as we can, comfortably, no straining. And then turning our sternum towards our right foot. From here, we're going to lengthen with an inhale, bring your hands up to the sky. Leading with the chest, you're going to reach your hands for your toes, or your ankle, or your shins. If you can go any further, you can wrap your fingers around your feet, or maybe hold the outside edges of your feet. And then here again, taking a pause. On the inhale, lengthening the back by pushing the chest out and forward, opening the heart. You don't need to go all the way far if you can keep your back straight. So the integrity of the back is what you want to pay attention to. You might want to bring a little bend in the right knee so that you bring your belly in contact with your thigh. And then on the exhale, you can always try to go a bit deeper, maintaining that integrity, maybe even shifting your head backwards and tucking your chin to elongate your spine into the neck as well. And then on your next inhale, walking your hands back, coming back up, straightening the spine, releasing the left leg out in front of you. And there we are.
Mel, have you got capacity there to run us through the next pose? I see you're a bit busy.
Thank you for asking, Mickey. I'll take a pass if I can.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Thank you. No problem. Callum? Parivrita Janu Shirsasana.
Remind me of that one. That's the one with the leg tucked in. Yeah. Easy.
Spreading the head through the arms.
Easy.
Easy. Easy.
So just taking a seat. Let's bring in what leg did we just do? We just did the
left, so let's go.
So let's bring in the right leg. So just bringing in the heel into the inner thigh. Sitting up straight, so lifting up the torso. Let's reach the arms up over the head. Let's start to twist the body to face the right knee and reaching the left hand all the way forward, grabbing the big toe and flexing the big toe all the way back to our face, reaching the right arm up and over, so rotating the chest, opening out, looking underneath the right shoulder, and I think bringing the left hand on the inside of the left foot and trying to rotate and open through, sticking our head through the gap that we just made with the arms. Almost rotate your chest to the side while threading the head through. And breathing out, rolling all the way up. And bringing the right leg forward.
That was good. One cue in that one which is useful, which I forgot to mention, was you bringing the side that we're going down, bringing that arm to the inside, so you can use that as leverage to help shine the sternum to the sky. That really helps. And so that's where sometimes you know, some people won't be able to get that connection, so that's where you may actually have the knee bend a little bit potentially.
Yeah.
And then you get that connection.
I guess if you do this one in your flow, make sure everybody got the strap as well. The strap for this one is particularly handy.
Yeah.
So when you're using the strap, how would you cue that? So over.
So yeah, it is a bit tricky because you have to hold the strap.
Your left hand to the inside of your foot.
Yeah.
Hold the strap before you.
Hold this. Yeah, you have to hold the
But
strap.
also your left hand's got to twist externally.
Oh, like that.
No, other way around, like that.
Oh, I was doing that.
So it's
Okay.
pinky here.
Yeah, that's the way.
And then, okay.
But even that, what's this?
Someone's Janelle was here.
Because you could also with that left hand hold the strap, and the right hand, like for beginners, they'll, you know,
Oh,
that'll be
yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the left hand or the right hand, which is just let it float there.
Ira, where do you think we could use pranayama within the asana? Apart from the obvious ujjayi, have you got any other clues how we could bring some pranayama into our asana?
Recently I used Kapalabhati breath just to start, just to get heat into the class. So right after, I guess, the Surya Namaskar. I don't know what pose. I mean, any pose is okay. Any sitting, even the like the Seiza or the Vajrasana.
Yeah.
That
So,
one.
I think that's, I mean, it's a good answer. Like Kapalabhati is probably one of the best pranayams to bring into the asana, apart from ujjayi and full yoga breathing, because of that, you know, that heating, energizing aspect. So in fact, you could bring it into a lot of the asanas, like a lot of the, particularly the standing asanas. But even it actually works quite nicely even in twists, because you're already. It just brings in that extra dimension to what you're already doing, is twisting through the abdominals. You have to be a bit more mindful of it.
Karya does it sometimes in the whole lunge.
In the revolve lunge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Twist seems to work quite well with Kapalabhati. But even just say, like, let's say up in a high lunge or a warrior one, you know, in a warrior one or something.
Yeah.
This can be quite nice.
Goddess pose.
That one, we did that.
We did that.
That was so powerful.
Yeah, Cassie did that.
Yeah, Cassie,
Yeah.
to do it in goddess pose while you're also
On the
perching the
toes.
heels up, and then pulling Mula Bandha in, and then doing Kapalabhati.
Yeah.
That was so good. Yeah.
Ira, you also did Brahmahari last week. In which pose I don't remember. That was really good too.
Yeah, I really like that one. 'Cause
Yeah.
Brahmari, yeah.
Yeah.
But you did that as just when we were sitting, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not something that I don't think you bring that one into another asana.
I've actually
Oh, you
done
could
that
do that in the next level of halasana where you have your knee actually against your ear.
Sorry, not to
That's a good one to do for Mario.
Wow,
Like,
yeah.
Because you're totally rolled up as well already.
Yeah, never thought of that. Cool as well.
I was actually, with this flow, my original plan was not Kapalbhati. I wanted to bring in Viloma, but then I thought of the benefits of Viloma is actually to get into rest and digest, and it's very good to get to sleep. But those types of pranayams are always better at the end, of course, right? Not so much in the beginning or in asana.
Yeah, generally. But saying that, sometimes it can be okay to do at the beginning too, because if you think about people often come to a class with quite, quite distracted minds and quite kind of yang out or frazzled or whatever. So it's not necessarily a bad thing also to drop them in at the start into something a bit more relaxing.
And thinking about that, actually it would be very good, for example, in just something like Paschimottanasana, because you can go down in stages. You do the inhale lengthening, and then the inhale lengthening, hold, while going down in the hold actually. I don't know. I'm going to figure that one out.
You want to go down on the exhale.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
could just hold and then go down.
Yeah, but the Viloma one is like in, hold, out.
Yeah.
So what you would do, you would start in flexion and you would go like in here and then hold and then in again, hold, in and stage the extension from the pelvis to the abs to the chest to the collarbone.
Strengthen my feet. I think because of the psychology that's such a simple flow, everybody wants to get simple that pulling themselves into it, right? And pulling and breathing up here actually tightens everything. And this breath actually is the rest of the system. That's why I think that would be
All right, team, we're going to move. And thank you all very much for your input today. And next week is our last one before our holiday break. Much love to you guys online. See you next week.